To the podcast, everybody. My name is Into David. I'm here with my lovely co-hosts.
Your favorite Jason player, Rio?
It's your boy Zyphox here.
Big D, professional down player.
Nice.
That was nice. That was nice.
That was the worst shit ever, but go on.
No, I liked it. I liked it. We gotta stop hating.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. Well, let's get right into the topics. I'm gonna talk about the latest tournament. Which was for Injustice 2, which was ECT and Zyphox. You were there, right?
Mm-hmm. I was there.
Can you talk about your experience?
Obviously, Li Joe always putting on a show. He was kind of sick on the last day that we were there, but it was all good. The tournament itself was actually really good. I got to see all the new faces that are all the up and comers I didn't get to really know. I got to meet a lot of them, like Emperor Combat and this guy Drifter. He was really nice. He ended up giving me and Frank a ride and shit. I got to meet all the new faces. Got to see an upset, like all these upsets that were happening. The Slayer beating King. I think that's always an upset. Sorry, King of Slayer. I got to see. Overall, the experience was like it's different than a regular tournament. It was weird because we know that even if you got top 8, it wasn't really like it didn't really matter if you got top 8. Even though it kind of does because it's like a stacked tournament. A lot of people were there, a lot of good players. But you know that you had to win that tournament. It didn't matter about like really like top 8, So it was a little different. The setups weren't laggy from what I like. Normally there's always like one person saying like there's like a laggy setup or something is like wrong with like that didn't really happen in this tournament, so thank God. Other than that, it was really, obviously FGC is always fun to be around. And I'm really surprised, honestly, that what's his name? I can't even remember the person who won because I don't know him. What's the guy's name?
Basics?
Basics. Yeah, DSP. I've never heard of him ever. Like, I think I've heard of him like one time, and he ends up winning. So that's just like, that's crazy to me,
Well, it's because, y'all could correct me if I'm wrong. Basics has been around for a bit, mainly online, doing well in like War of the Gods and a lot of different online tournaments. He's been to a few offline events, and he's done okay, but obviously you haven't seen him in like the top 8s and stuff. But from what I understand, after SCR, where he didn't exactly do as well as he wanted to, obviously his training partner is Tweety, so naturally he's going to be able to level up. I heard he logged on an incredible amount of hours between SCR and LCQ, and I've said it before. I was between him and King Gambler were actually my 2 picks to actually take it really far. People didn't take me seriously when I said Basics. I'm like, dude, this kid, like, he plays one of the best Injustice players. He plays great characters. Like, why would he not be able to go far? Just because he hasn't done well in the past. Dude's been grinding probably more than anybody else, while everyone else is, doing their thing, whether they're retiring or not retiring or playing.
Or just washed up like me.
Or washed up like both of us. I mean, yeah, this dude has been putting in hours, so it wasn't really that big of a surprise. I will say, I did not expect him to make it to grand finals on the winner's side, but I did expect him to go nearly that far in some aspect.
Dude, the thing is, like, when people look at tournaments, they never give people the credit for like top 16, top 32. Like, all the people up there are really good. Like, they're all grinding in the game. They're really good, but they never get that credit or notice,
I think it's because a lot of people don't understand that the skill gap in Injustice 2 is so much smaller than it was with MKX. MKX, there was that Grand King in size gap between the top players and the above average players. And now you're looking at
Injustice. Yeah, it was like the Elder Gods and then everybody else.
Yeah, but Injustice now it literally evolved to the point where like 9 out of the 10 people in your pool are a problem, and you can't just take them lightly. It wasn't really like that in MKX.
Yeah, the competition is so much better now, which is great.
Go ahead. I just want to add, and the game is also more balanced, so you can't really, pick a character, like just beat them on the, as they used to say on the character select screen. I think that's also a huge, difference. But anyways,
Sure.
Zyphox, what were you gonna say?
When you talk about the skill gap in MKX, when you mention like top players or like, what does that look like? The above average player versus like the top level player. Like, what do you mean by above average?
Okay, so when I say top player, I don't mean like personality or people that travel a lot. I actually mean people that are like, if you want to make a prediction of a major that's coming up, who's in your top 8, I'm talking about the usual suspects. I'm talking about Fox, I'm talking about Dragon, I'm talking about Scar, all these guys that Hayate, like all these guys that have consistently placed top 8s, not just once or twice, not just, did once, like traveled once and then never came out. I'm talking about those guys are the top dogs, and then the above average players where, obviously now you have to get into, the timeline for MKX, but let's say year 1 MKX, the above average guys were, SylverRye and all these other players that were breaking in the top 16s, just starting to get out there. And then obviously year 2, SylverRye became, the player that he was. But that's kind of like the definition between the two.
Real talk, like Samij and all them, like I'm not even joking, were like getting top 8 straight for like a year in MKX.
Yeah,
like, it was like the usual suspects.
The top player, yeah.
Okay, so let me give you an example. Rewind didn't really travel, but would you consider him a top player in MKX? Even though technically, so that's what I'm saying. Is like that's what I was like. Does he? If I was thinking, does Rewind an above average player in your aspect? But the skill gap wasn't that big for Rewind. Like Rewind could literally beat every single person in that game, in my opinion, especially towards the end of it. So
he actually used to win the combat weeklies a lot, the Combat Cup weeklies, and those used to have people like Sonic and Rewind and Young Monster and so on.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Is like when you think about those people, like. I don't know if the skill gap was really as big as like we're saying it is, at least in like that aspect,
It kind of depends on how you look at it. It's everyone's definition is going to be a little bit different as far as like what's an above average player, what's a top player. And like I said, one of the biggest things, especially when you're concerning MKX, year 1 of MKX and year 2 was so incredibly different, not just with the game but with the competition. So it's kind of hard to be like, oh, this dude was above average between the months of March and October. And then, October 14th, all of a sudden he becomes top player. It's really hard to do stuff like that. But,
yeah,
the basic idea is still there. Samij, Scar, Hayate, all those guys that were, winners finals, losers finals, 5th place, like consistently for like every event that they went to. I consider those the top players. And then you have, other categories, which I'm not going to get into because it's not really, the main topic for today. But like there's a whole bunch of categories of players,
Yeah, but no, it's true though. MKX was very, very, very consistent with the group of players that were winning and placing. In Injustice 2, it's more like there's so many good players now. It's like it's kind of hard to call who's going to do what,
Well, keep in mind that when MKX first came out, we would all agree the game was garbage. Unless you're complete rushdown fool, whatever. But it might have been.
Well, yeah, I think MKX year 1 was a joke game.
Yeah,
man. It was so broken and silly.
Yomi, to their credit, they got together. They figured all the broken bullshit, and they just wrote it all out until they won pretty much everything. Until every single one of them got top 8 or EDE or whatever. But once a lot of that stuff they got rid of, then I felt like then you had to know matchups because you just couldn't do 50-50 with Quanchis forever or Kung Lao put people in in a block stuff like 30 seconds.
Luke King jailing 4-2-3, 4-2-3 3 times in a row.
Yeah,
what
God,
was that game?
That, dude.
Yeah.
No, that was year 2. Luke King.
What was that game for?
That was until last patch.
Loop King.
Or even DJT was winning with Tremor, and he wasn't even using the best Tremor. Because we know Crystalline was better at that point. So it's we can go on and on, but the game was pretty much a joke. So the second year, once a lot of that stuff got patched, then you can kind of see, okay, who's actually putting in time and who's whatever, just using the broken stuff, right? Like, that's fair to say. Not that you only won only because of broken characters, but it's more like the Injustice where you have a large pool of very good players, who are putting in the time and who can pretty much beat anybody at that point. So kind of like Injustice 2,
Yeah.
Well, it's like one of those things where it's very easy to run, a mile when you're wearing running shoes.
Hey,
but
before we get
you run a
started,
mile
let me ask you guys a question. I want to tell me this. Now, I've lived through a lot of these fighting. I'm old, so we all know this. I'm gonna name a scenario, okay? And I want to ask any of you if this sounds familiar at all. So, company comes out, makes a game. Let's say they make X amount of $1 billion. They say, what is literally what is like 75? What is $1 million compared to 1 billion? Right, small percentage, right? So let's take a very small percent of our winnings and invest it into the tournament scene. And hey, we've already made our money. Okay. So tournament scene, you start putting up big pots, players get involved. Then you start selling pro leagues on the idea that, hey, you can make money by putting this game in your league. So you start selling. Now, these pro leagues, though, they have sponsors. But sponsors don't make money off the game. They make money off of how well the game is viewed. That's how sponsors make money, right? How much ad dollars can they generate, right? You guys are watching. How much can I sell this airtime for based on the product that I'm showing, right? So you get these pro leagues, you get these players. These players ideally sometimes get guaranteed salaries. Sometimes they do not. Sometimes it's just sponsored salaries, maybe sometimes per team, per player. Pro league comes, doesn't do that well ratings wise, but they say maybe this, maybe that, right? So they put it on a different time slot, whatever. That does even worse. And then sponsors start to pull out, and a lot of players thought they were going to be living it big. Now they're kind of like, okay, we got to pull it back a little bit. Does that situation sound familiar? Because it sounds a lot like what you have going on right now. You know what's familiar about that?
What?
It's happened in every league in the history of time. Now, a lot of guys like myself who have lived through this, we have lived through this all the time. We see a lot of people, maybe not like a Theo who knows about a college degree or Dragon, but there are some people like Tweety who think they're going to live the rich life. Don't finish high school, don't go to college, and one day Tweety will be that guy at 7-Eleven saying, I was a great fighting game player back in the day. And that's the problem. We sell this idea to these kids that they're going to be making it rich. And this happens every single time. And then every time you say, hey, but I see this every time. And look at every pro league. MLG, they started out with fighting games. Dave, you were there back in the Tekken days. MLG was a joke, right? Yes or no? They never paid anybody when it comes to, you know what MLG did to succeed? Yes or no, Dave? They dropped fighting games, right? And they succeeded, correct? They dropped fighting games. ESL.
They still ended up failing.
Hold on. But they were failing before they dropped fighting games. ESL was starting to tank. What did they do to pull their head above water? What did they drop, Dave? Fighting games. Every league does this. On Twitch, on TV, every metric tells you people do not care about fighting games. Period. Sonic Fox will never come close to Ninja. Ever. Why? Nobody cares about fighting games in the general public. Because at the end of the day, fighting games Twitch is a big part of our culture. Fighting games are counterproductive to Twitch for a couple of reasons. One, it's a competitive sport for the most part. If I'm working on some tech that's going to beat Big D, why am I going to stream it? Because guess who's going to watch it? Big D, right? So
Every fucking day.
Right? I mean, literally, poor Madsen.
That is funny.
Poor Madsen. Madsen had to play Dragon, Sub-Zero versus Alien. But how did Dragon learn how to fight that tech? From the person that invented it. So poor Madsen.
If you think about it, a lot of top players don't stream that much.
It's true. So I felt poor.
There's a lot of top players that don't
Absolutely.
stream.
So here's poor Madsen. I'm watching the video. I'm going, poor Madsen is playing the ultimate mind game. Dragon knows about this. So he knows I'm going to throw him. So I won't throw him. And Dragon's just like, I don't know what he's going to do. But Madsen is in his own head, right? Because he's like, Dragon knows about the tech already. He's been put in this before. He's not going to fall for this. Madsen's went all option C's, right? Because he assumed Dragon was going to be too smart for option A or B. And that's what happens. So fighting game players had decided, how about I just do this? But I stream nothing. So that's a huge hit on a game because how much a game is viewed in the public eye. Really, Fortnite would not be as big without people like Ninja. He streams it, people like it, they get into it. If they couldn't watch it, if they didn't enjoy watching it, half of those guys wouldn't pick it up to play it. So it's a cycle that goes into itself. Fighting games really hurt there. And the biggest problem that fighting games have has always been, from even back in my era, the number one problem is the fat ass dude, and I always talk about this and nobody listens, the fat dude who has season tickets to the Lakers. You don't want to be on a court with LeBron James. You don't want to be on a field with Ndamukong Suh and and Aaron Donald. His fat ass don't want to take those hits. His fat ass don't want to get humiliated. He knows no matter how much time he plays basketball, he'll never be LeBron. He'll never be these guys in the NFL. So he's willing to pay to watch the product. In games, he says, well, I could be as good as SonicVox. I just don't play as much. I have a wife. I have bills. And it can never be disproven. You see what I'm saying? And that's the problem. He says, why am I going to spend money to watch this guy, SonicVox? I believe if I played as much as him, I would be just as good. But there is not that belief in sports. So the problem is, that's really the biggest problem.
Well, hold on. I have to say this because I think this is important. I think if you truly believe that you're going to make a living out of playing fighting games competitively, you are either delusional or you're just not very bright. And I'm always, in playing to win, and Tom as well privately, we always talk about this. Dude, you're not going to make a living. You need to invest in yourself, which probably means, going to school or whatever. Like, you're not going to, there are very, very, very few people in this community who actually, made it. Whether we're talking about 16-bit, working for NRS, I don't know, Taquito, I'm sure he's doing very well. Obviously, Daigo. But that's a very, very small percentage of, the people who play fighting games competitively.
Absolutely. Are we streaming it right now? Because I want to talk about something that I've been under NDA about. I don't want to. No, okay. Look, well, let me just say.
No, we are streaming. We're streaming.
What? Shut the fuck up. We're not streaming this.
We are
streaming
this whole time. Thank you for telling the world that your entire opinion about fucking fighting games.
Well, no, I was going to talk about something that's I'm under NDA about, so I won't talk about that. No, well, I just want to talk about, as far as what you're saying, David. Yes, strike it rich. Yes, that's a big problem. Like I said, I want to go back to the example that I brought up with someone like Tweety, right? Here's a guy who I don't believe was paid anywhere near what he's worth in fighting games, right? So he's developed himself as a great fighting game player, and he hasn't developed what he's worth. Tweety should be paid as much as someone like, a SonicVox or someone like that. He has obviously put in enough work. What Tweety does is no different. I'm just bringing him up, because of how he grinds, and he streams a lot of his grind. Tweety is someone who has put in as much as someone who goes to school, put in as much work as someone who works their 9-to-5 job, and he has proven to be elite in his craft, per se, right? Mm-hmm. But the only thing you can put that much time into and be that successful in and walk away with nothing is a fighting game. Right? Here's a dude who should be well paid. And instead, he's going to have to worry about his future one day. Because I'm sorry, when there was money, it all dried up. I really, and he didn't get what he was paid, what he was worth 100%. I think we can all agree to that he has put in as much time as anyone else who's grinding in their job and whatever.
But Tom, here's a difference. Something like Dragon Ball generates what you said, more revenue than winning an injustice at this specific moment in time. So he should not be getting paid as much as, I don't know, a SonicVox or
what I'm asking you in general is, can we all agree that someone like Tweety puts in as much hard work as anyone else grinding to support their life and their family? And correct? We all agree with that, right? He puts in his
he does. He puts in full time.
But he doesn't get the reward of that guy that graduates college. He doesn't get the reward of that guy that lands that good job, lands that good promotion.
Because you're entitled to, it's not equality of outcome. This is like basic stuff about
exactly. But the fighting game world sells that it's equality of outcome until
nobody sells that.
I gotta disagree with that because that's not true at all.
I think the
FGC knows exactly where it stands in the esports world, and we've had this conversation multiple times. I've had this conversation with a ton of people, and I'm telling you right now, there is no ambiguity in the line between mainstream esports and the FGC esports. It's very obvious where we stand, and that is at the bottom right now. Can it change? Yeah, but there's no. The FGC is not selling itself to be, the end all be all of esports. And if you're not part of this, then you're missing out. Like that's not.
No, absolutely, 100%. But yes or no. A lot of the reason that we sold Get an MKX and Injustice is, hey, you could win some money. I'll never forget during MKX, the major selling point our community hit was, why wouldn't you want to play? Look at all this money that's on the line. Is that not true?
It is,
That was
but
a
you're
big talking
taking
point.
it out of context because
It's out of context. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
well, listen. The reason why that strategy worked is because we weren't comparing our money to other genres' money. We're comparing our money to how our money was in the past.
Yep.
It's very different.
I'll
Very
never
good.
forget. I'll never forget the arguments that Pig was having with Slayer. Pig has wife, family, kids, real life responsibilities, and he came to a point in his life when he said, "Look, I'm going to take a back step because of X, Y, Z." And everybody said, "All you got to do is start winning tournaments like Sonic and live the good life." Stop. We sell that. We sell it to people.
No, we do not sell that. The casual public sells it.
Not even Pig. Pig did a damn study where he figured out that somebody like Forever King makes $13 an hour. That's the same as somebody working at like McDonald's and know that
It's true. No,
dude.
I agree. I agree 100%.
And that's only for winning.
Dude.
All I'm saying,
That's
all
only
I'm
for
saying-
winning.
All I'm saying is the fact of the matter is
Ridiculous.
that a problem with the fighting game players, the real problem is one, they deserve more money. It really hurts fighting game esports from growing because the players are not actually paid what they're worth. Tweety should have probably made $100,000 this year based on what he is probably worth and how much time he put in. He probably made a fraction of that. That's unfair. Doesn't get paid what he's worth. Fighting game players as a whole don't get paid what they're worth. And the weird thing about fighting games is it's not about winning, it's where you win. You can win, right? Tweety won several tournaments. Now, had those tournaments been worth 60,000, 70,000, great. But 10,000 split up, that's not good enough. It's where you win. That's really the problem. It's like winning doesn't matter. In golf, it doesn't matter where you win. You win, you're going to get paid. Tennis is, yeah, the money is up and down, but you're making enough money to support yourself, right? In
Right,
fighting
but
games,
there's a whole nother dimension that you're not talking about, which is it's unfortunate, but it's not just where, it's when. Money is very different between year 1 and year 2 of a game, and we all know that. That's an extra dimension that we have to worry about.
Fighting game payouts range between. It's like playing a Diablo game, min max. Their max is like up to 100,000, as low as $200. I mean, like, dude, it's like there is such a big range. You got to get like a primal win or something, so you get the max end. I mean, it's like you need the min max is so drastic from tournament to tournament, where one tournament guy could win 60,000. The very next tournament, you beat that guy, you won $200. Do you see the problem? It's it doesn't encourage other people to get into it for that, right? Also, you know how cheated you would be. You see somebody win $60,000. The next tournament has the exact same players. You beat the guy that won. You had the exact same path of difficulty. You're struggling to take care of yourself, even though you won that tournament. It's so. You can't be a pro fighting game player because you can't have $200 payouts in which you have to work just as hard to make $100,000 payout. Other games don't have that kind of disparity. These kind of players from other games, they can make money in streaming. I watch Tweety stream every time he streams. The dude should have hundreds of viewers. Doesn't have it. Why? Doesn't make any sense to me. I just feel like other games, players can make good money with streaming. Hard to do that in a fighting game. Other games, people can make money with competing. Hard to do that in a fighting game. You make 5th place in a fighting game, you're broke. If you are a constant 5th place placer, even in the biggest of tournaments, you're broke. That's a problem. That's a problem. Guess what? If you make 3rd place, you know what else you are? Broke. 3rd place and you're broke?
That is true. You could be a top 3 player and like,
dude, no.
3rd sucks.
It's unfair.
Can I say something real fast?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was thinking of the solution to the problem that you're arising right now.
I have a solution too, but I want to hear. I have a solution also.
I've been waiting for weeks for this. I have it.
Listen, NRS needs to do a better job at promoting their.
Wrong.
No, hold on. Let me just finish.
Let him speak.
Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
When you go and you log into Dota 2, when you log into League of Legends, when you log into Overwatch, you can literally watch Overwatch League from the game. Why is that? Why can you do that? But no one has the technology in another realm. No one has the ideas. Like, hey, Paulo, Ed Boon, hire me. I'll do it for you guys. I will do it for you guys. I will sit there and figure out a way to promote that in-game tournaments whatever the case may be, any type of esports related anything for Mortal Kombat 11 or whatever game you guys make, because that is number one. Get the people who buy the game to engage in viewing Mortal Kombat or any type of video game competitively. Like
Yeah.
their
Yeah,
fighting
I think Dota does that the best. You sign into
Okay,
Dota
that's
homepage, you see every upcoming tournament, everything.
See, I'm a numbers
just
guy.
on
I
the
believe
info.
in numbers. I like numbers. I look at all the NetherRealm games. I hate to say this word because whenever you say it, everyone's brain turns off. But you can't look at a NetherRealm game without including, yes, Mortal Kombat 9. It says NetherRealm on the box. Don't turn your brain off because I said that dreaded word, all right? Mortal Kombat 9, then it was Injustice 1, MKX, Injustice 2, correct? Not missing any games, right? 4 titles, I believe?
Yeah, under NRS. Yeah.
I'm a numbers guy. I look at numbers. People say numbers don't lie. I don't know how to do that. I like analytics. You know, people that make billions of dollars, they like that too. They seem to work. I look at Mortal Kombat 9, and then I think Injustice 1 had an MLG also. Okay, but that doesn't really count. MLG, I mean, Injustice 1 didn't really have a pro thing, so I guess we can kind of exclude Injustice 1 numbers because it didn't have like a pro league like a MKX, I2, or MK9. But we look at MK9. MLG, I think it had the exact same amount of advertising and support, and we crushed other fighting games that were brand new. Tekken Tag 2 was the newest and hottest fighting game out. They brought in people from Korea, from all over the country, for the same amount of money that we had, and they had to stop us from entering because we were going to we doubled, and we were going to triple their numbers.
Yeah, I remember they had to close off the cap.
They had to close us off twice. We just kept coming, dude. And NetherRealm, and it was watched very well, and it really gave a good taste in people's mouths of our game in pro leagues. And there were a lot of people back then that were hurting for money. Remember the Cherries? They were not in a good. They were like, look, we got school, we got a lot of stuff going on. They still showed up. Everybody that was hurting for money still found a way to show up, right? And Injustice 1, we all know that MLG, that was kind of a debacle for Injustice 1, so we're not going to get into those numbers or whatever because that really wasn't a community thing. MKX, you had the pro leagues like online, but toward the end of MKX, like its last tournament had $10,000 guaranteed. 64 people showed up. I mean, every week the numbers of people watching it went lower and lower and lower. The ESL numbers, I think, from season 1 to season 2 were definitely not as high. I think the online stuff I believe was, but I mean, it was all advertised the same way. But it was Mortal Kombat, so it was still like a new looking game. Injustice 2 was advertised the same way, and MKX was. It was advertised the same way. But what we're noticing is, I think it's not about the advertising. It's about, and I don't want to say the product because I believe that Injustice 2 is probably the most well-made game I've ever seen. I think NetherRealm has done what a lot of fighting game developers have failed to do. They have made the world's first ever complete fighting game, meaning that normally the real problem with fighting games are it doesn't capture the whole audience. It only captures the rare 1%. There's not enough content to capture the everyone. What NetherRealm has done with Injustice 2 is probably the best thing I've ever seen in a fighting game. And to me, Injustice 2 ranks number 1 on my list and the most well-made fighting game I've ever seen. Because a casual normally gets a game, plays through the single player content, gets his achievements and his trophies, right? End of the day, it's a versus game. Once they've played the game for a month or two, they trade it back in for the next game and then they move on. But Injustice 2 actually has stuff that like normally you have cool customizable stuff for the casuals, but that's only cosmetic. Injustice 2 gives you an actual separate game. Hey, I'm not going to tournaments. I'm not going to play like these guys, but I can actually do something to where I can get gear, do customizations, and those customizations allow me to tailor my character to my liking, both in appearance and in how they play. And
yeah, there's so much replay value with the multiverse. Like multiverse, for the casuals, they eat that shit up, man.
But casuals, and it gave them their own versus mode, so it allows them to do stuff in the multiverse and take that stuff into games against each other. It's got a ton of cosmetic changes. It's got a ton of in-real game changes, and it even has a learn mode where if you just come in and you say, I don't know what frame advantage is, blah. I mean, I don't know all this stuff, right? You can literally go into that. It's got a mode for everyone. So if you're a hardcore player, it's got stuff. If you're a casual player, it's got stuff too. Hey, I'm not going to leave my home. Why do I want to?
So what's missing from the equation then, please?
What's missing from the equation is people still don't like it. Period. I mean, the bottom line is you can market soccer all you want in America. We ain't going to watch it anymore. I mean, does soccer not market itself, Dave? Does it not?
Not
But in
the way it
America,
should be.
but in America, what is king? The NFL, and the NBA isn't too far behind. All right. I mean, period. I mean,
Unfortunately, he's right. I mean,
the whole people don't. The people that want to play, the people that could be great soccer players, you know what they're playing? Football, basketball, baseball. Is that not true? They could be great soccer players, but what sport are they choosing? Those three, which is why those three sports are the biggest sports in America.
And that's one of the main reasons why I have to side with Brady on this one as compared to Zyphox, which you said earlier about, putting that feature in games. Obviously every little bit helps, but I mean, you're talking about solutions to a problem that's not the main issue. And the main issue is we need to find a way to put the FGC into everybody's eyes the same way they would other games. And unfortunately, that's just not something that can really be done right now.
Okay, here's my ideas. You start internally. One, it's got to start with the players. The players don't love the game. That's problem number one. The players are only playing for money. They can only stomach the game so long as they're playing for $10,000. Once that's not on the minimum, it's like, I like this game as long as you pay me $10,000 minimum. If you're paying me any less than $10,000, like I can't pick this game up. Well, you don't love the game very much then. Again, if you look at the core games that we have, all the games from MK9 to present, there was one game in which everybody loved and played for nothing, and it lived longer than all of these games. And that was the game where there was the least money for.
That's so funny.
The bottom line is, and even MK9 at Combo Breaker was actually more well received by the fan than the newer game. The people wanted to see that more than anything else. I mean, the whole fact of the matter is that if people like something, a game doesn't necessarily have to be good, bad, whatever. One, it needs to be enjoyable. One, above anything else, above balance, above whatever, it needs to be enjoyable. You can balance a game to the teeth. If it's not enjoyable, it doesn't matter. So one, the game has got to be enjoyable. And what do people enjoy the most? Something for everyone. Mortal Kombat 9, maybe not on the business side. Obviously, these other games made more money. Obviously, these newer games have more attendance, but that's more the way the world is now. Games are more mainstream than they were back then, I believe. You put MK9 in today's era, they would have the same numbers as these games currently. I mean, it's not like, it's just the era that it's in. No game got big numbers like that back then. The bottom line is, it's not about MK9, because MK9 was far from anything. It was probably the worst game in the series. But the fact of the matter is, people enjoyed it. So that was one. And they didn't enjoy a lot of these games as much going forward. I think a big thing is there's something for everyone. And I think that is step one. So to me, Mortal Kombat 9 was inherently flawed because it didn't incorporate what I like to call, it didn't incorporate a lot of these 50-50 kind of situations. See, what MK9 did a great job in, in all their games.
Tom, I don't think it has literally nothing. I can't even believe you went this huge rant. You didn't even mention one damn fucking thing that it meant. How about the fact that streamers want to see Rushdown, dude? You didn't even
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
That's the first thing you should have mentioned if you're going to go to.
No, I don't want to get. I don't want to get on that yet, because
that's the number one thing, dude.
It's not about
people
that.
Don't like Injustice because have you even watched any of our podcasts?
Wait, hold on. Can I just step in here real quick? Can I just step in here? Wait. Can I just step and say one thing? People love Rushdown, right? Dude, I don't think NRS is ever gonna make a game more Rushdown than MKX.
But then,
and after a year and a half, MKX was having the same issue.
Okay, they love Rushdown, right? I couldn't even walk. I went to NEC, that last NEC they had for MKX, and everyone loves Rushdown. But you know what's so funny? In the second year of the game's life, when they watch a guy they're really pulling for up 99%, and they get knocked down, and the guy goes overhead, low, and mixes them up. You know what the fans there were saying? Get it out, man. Enough. Rio, you were right there. Rio and I were in a hotel room testing MKX.
Dude, and I remember them nonstop bitching about Kobu.
And Rio brought up a thread, and he showed it to us all. And it was after Sonic Fox had beaten Honeybee. And the outcry was, Honeybee was up 99%. He got hit once, put in the vortex, guessed wrong every single time. We don't want this in the game. So they love Rushdown until something like that happens, and then they don't want it. So the problem is, I agree with you, Dave. They love Rushdown, but then they don't love it anymore. First, they'll say they want the Rushdown. They want more points. They want to watch. Like the NFL, right? Like the NFL, right?
Hold on. Eventually, there's a point where, I mean, the casuals find almost everything boring. But if you, dude, listen to the comments that people are, people like typing on social media, on the YouTube videos that we make. Everybody likes MKX better. Not to say the first week version of MKX, but when it, I guess what, I'm okay with that. Like I'm not okay with the nonsense Quan Chi stuff, but I am okay with what MKX has turned
people
into. I think that's a fair medium.
Okay, you have to understand. People want more offense. Why? Because offense is easier. So as a player, you want more offense because offense is easier.
Well, I don't know if that's true.
What I mean is,
I think it depends on the character. That shot is super easy, whereas I don't know, somebody who does.
It's more intuitive.
What I mean is, I've seen lots of fighting games in which you see people do the most ridiculous combo videos in the world. Here's a great issue: Cyrex. I've seen people, I'm not going to name anyone's names, who played Cyrex, and all they had to do was get next to you and just hit you once, and the match was over, and they couldn't do it, and they failed constantly to make top 8. Then they would have another character who gets next to you for free, and they're unstoppable, right? Because here was the problem. They didn't have an easy way to get next to you, right? And the other game they did, correct? The only issue was the game gave the player an easier way to get in. Yes or no? That is the only difference. Okay.
That is true.
So the fact what I'm trying to say is that I think the best way to change this is make a more diverse fighting game. What I mean is there's something for everyone. You look back in MK9, if you're a more super aggressive player, if you like, more like overhead low stuff, you're probably not going to like that game as much because that game does have a lot of stuff in it, but that's kind of stuff it does leave out. And then if you go forward and you like more pace play and whatever, other games going forward kind of leave that out. But I really think you need a more of a balanced type game in which everyone's fighting style. For example, let me give an example here.
See, it's weird to talk about MK9 because most of the stuff that people enjoyed about the game was, I hate to say this, but because I want to give NRS credit, but most of the stuff that was enjoyable in that game, high level, was an accident. Like, we have to be serious.
Well, look at Kerbo, right? Take someone like Kerbo. I don't ever want to hear who would beat Kerbo going forward. I think we all saw what happened. It happened back then. It happened now. So we all know what happened. The bottom line is you got players right now who would have no chance against Sonic Fox in these current games. But in some of those other games, they have a high chance of beating him. And it's not because, he doesn't play anymore, because God knows if he'd have won, nobody would be saying that Kerbo doesn't play anymore. Let's all agree to that. The real fact of the matter is those games were a little more diverse. I feel like, for me personally, from playing MKX, the thing that I'm absolutely the worst at, my worst strength is offense. Not just offense, but my worst strength is having to use the hit level mix up, overhead low. And what does that game excel at? Having to use, so the problem is, I want to take me at the lowest end of the scale and Sonic at the highest end of the scale. Even if I have him in a 50-50 mix up, right? For example, right? I'm going to guess wrong 99.9% of the time. Why? Because to me, I'm like, in my mind, I'm just randomly going low and overhead like a mindless monkey. In his mind, he has some dumb reason why I'm going to go low here. And I did, but I'm like, how did he know that? And I give him all the credit in the world. That is a great ability. I mean, he has so many abilities, that just being one of the many that he possesses. But it's like people want to play a game where they can use their strengths. I think in both Mortal Kombat X and Injustice 2, the game is played for the most part dominantly in one fashion. And if that's not your style, it's like, I don't want to play my weakness against your strength. I want to play my strength against yours. And I have a much easier time standing up and shaking your hand knowing, dude, I try to do it my way and you still beat me. And I got to just give you props on that, man. Instead of saying, dude, you're literally forcing me to play by your rules. And then I got to stand up and say, I'm too stupid. Come on, dude. I mean, like, And that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. It may be hype, but we don't understand. In tennis, if you allow, I think the problem is that these are games, community-wise, I think the difference between a game like Tekken and a game like Street Fighter, et cetera, yes, they've put elements in the game to obviously make them a little more user-friendly. Nothing is wrong with that. Even the NFL is literally changing the rules so everybody can throw for 5,000 yards. All right. I mean, and guess what? People wanted more points, and now they're crying about more points. Isn't that funny? People don't know what they ask for. But my point is that those games were more true to their core. At the end of the day, yes, we all see other games have 50-50 mix-ups. That's true. Every game has that. The difference is NetherRealm does a great job of introducing new tools. The problem is it's like tennis. Tennis has all these fundamentals. If Paulo made tennis, Paulo would say, you know what's the problem with tennis? You don't get any points for hitting the ball over the fence. Like I can hit the ball over the fence, but that's out on me. So Paulo would say, let's hit the ball over the fence and let's give him half a point, not even a point, right? You know what tennis would still have all the fundamentals, right? But what would everybody be doing, Zyphox?
Hitting the ball over the fence.
So the game would de-evolve. Now, yes or no? We'd have a lot more tennis players, right? Right? We'd have a lot more tennis players, would we not? Yes or no? Yes. Would we or would we not have more tennis players if you could hit the ball over the fence?
That's
yes
so
or no?
Stupid.
Yeah, I'm asking you yes or no.
Yes.
Okay. But what would happen to their viewership?
Dang.
Doesn't that sound familiar? I would say that what they do is they introduce one element that circumvents every bit of fundamentals they have. And that's the problem. The anti-airs are in the game. Only we're going to make sure jump-ins are.
See, it's weird because like I said, like MK9, a lot of the good things that people love was all an accident. Like all the anti-air system, like
it's not about MK9.
No, but like
it's not about that.
No, I know, but it's like
so you want to go back to MK9, and that's not what.
No, it's not that. But it's like when you look back at MK9 and see the things that people like it was like the super consistent anti-air among the whole cast. Like, come on, that was an accident. I mean, otherwise we would have these games would have anti-airs.
I look at it like this, right? For example, right? Carl and Sonic Fox have two different styles of offense, right? They're both Sonic is such a shrewd operator when it comes to his offense, because one of the things I love the most about his gameplay, and I really enjoy watching his gameplay as he's gotten older, is people have this idea that Sonic is crazy, right? Oh, he's crazy, he's whatever, right?
No.
Sonic Fox is the best scramble situation player I've ever seen, and he's so good at it that I've seen matches in which Sonic Fox is doing nothing but standing still, and his opponent in his mind thinks it's a scramble situation. What am I going to do? And he's going crazy. And all Sonic is doing is just standing there like, what is this dude doing, right? But he literally sells the illusion just by getting close to you that he's going to go crazy or do something. And he has such strong mind games. So he doesn't necessarily even have to beat you that way. But just since we're talking about offense, offensively, both Carl and Sonic Fox both have their own style, right?
Yeah.
Right?
What would you say Carl's is?
Let me ask you this. In what NetherRealm game do they both play where they can both do their own style of offense?
The only one that I can even remotely tell you that their style of offense would relate would be MK9 because of Bird Lau, the way PL
And who won when they played each other in that game?
But that's only one. Like, so you're saying that Carl's literally only him in DOA and then like MK9? That's it? Like, I'm pretty sure,
No.
Carl's.
No,
his playstyle, like, is his playstyle really only Bird Lau?
What I'm saying is it's more about he can play other games if he wants to. He played DOA, he played whatever. I mean, different games, whatever. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to put anyone on Sonic Fox's level as an overall gamer. I'm just saying what people enjoy is to be able to do their own style. See what I'm saying? So the problem is, it's like to beat people at their own game is really difficult. To make a game in which styles are more diverse. Since I only play Sub-Zero is a great example. Sub-Zero is, by all intents and purposes, matchup wise, in theory, better in Mortal Kombat X. Because why? He has matchups like Jax where he like 9-0s you, right? I mean, he doesn't beat anybody like that in other games, right? But he was actually better. Why? Because he was more well-rounded. It's because he can actually fight more matchups. And in reality, I mean, when you put something like that on TV, everybody can see, yeah, characters, whatever, but all the characters tend to eventually look the same. The interactables are another big thing. I mean, like interactables to a casual are like, it's the exact same. If you pull up the frame data, I think from Injustice 1, from Mortal Kombat X, and Injustice 2, the same wall bounce, for example, I'm using one move, the same wall kick, right? Has the same data on hit, same data on block, same animation, so does the bounce over. To casual players, these cool features have been recycled from game to game to game to game. And they make that game lose some of its luster. You understand what I'm saying? I feel like, number one, for our communities, what we need to do is this. Step one, no longer combine Mortal Kombat and Injustice. Keep Injustice what it is.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, what do you feel about MKX taking a lot of things from Injustice 1? I was going to ask you.
Terrible.
Or like you guys in
It
general.
was a horrible idea.
Because look, MKX took a lot of stuff from Injustice 1. Like it took the whole backdash system. It took the whole interactable system. It took the whole, like, you know how there's like a weird like stagger delay system from Injustice 1? It took like a lot of little traits from that game that they added in. So it's like a blend of like MK and Injustice if you think about it.
I don't know if necessarily that's a bad thing. You just have to think about it in a different way.
No, it's not a bad thing, but it's just, it's, I don't know. I feel like they should have kept Injustice, and then instead of them taking things from Injustice to add to MKX, they should have added new things that weren't from Injustice. You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but like they were able to pick something from a game that they initially was experimenting with in Injustice 1 and take some of the best traits minus freaking interactable.
Yeah.
And try to apply
Yeah,
it.
that's what I'm saying. Because, like, from Justice 1, they took meter burn attacks. They took backdashing. They took interactables. Like, they took a lot of stuff from Injustice 1 to MKX.
Both of those games, to me, Mortal Kombat X and Injustice 2 are very close to being phenomenal games. There's only just one problem. Not that there's 50-50s. It's too easy to initiate them. I watched Forever King one time, literally, have Buffalo block jump twos from one end of the Joker stage to the other. King literally did jump poke. He literally, I counted, did 20 consecutive on anti-air jump twos. 20.
See, that's the thing. Jumping shouldn't be as easy as it is for a lot of characters. It's just a lot of characters suffer from not having a good consistent anti-air. Like Joker's one of those characters. It's hard for him to get you when you start jumping at him.
When you take a character like Michelangelo and you say, hey, let me ask you this. If the fighting game gods have deemed that this player is going to guess right every single time, every mix-up I do, he will guess right every single time. What is my best option? It's pick another character. Is there nothing? Is there nothing more than the 50-50? Get in and do that. What happens if they're going to guess right every time? I can't win? What? That's retarded.
No, you're right.
The problem is it's too, and we say zoning wins, not vortexes, not mix-ups. What character won Evo?
I mean, it has to do.
What character won Evo?
Catwoman.
No.
Was
It's
it
not
Blue Beetle?
Firestorm? Firestorm, Blue Beetle, and Catwoman. That's what he used.
Oh, yeah,
right?
I guess.
He used all three.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why we deny these things. The fact that it matters, and I'm.
All right, just a reminder, we have 15 minutes left for the time.
do
If you guys want to go to the last
I
topic for
I
the
wanted
day.
to segue to with the biggest thing because I know Dave wanted to talk about NinjaKiller, and this is
No,
ultimately
no,
what I
no,
want to segue to.
hold on. We're gonna have to.
Well, actually, before we talk about that, we should talk about the finals coming up for IPS.
Yeah, I want to talk about the IPS because I want to ask Big D about. I just briefly want to go over like the top 16 ranked players. So it's Tweety, Zyphox, Biohazard, Rewind, Samish, Hayate, Rose, Honeybee, Gurr, Irish Mantis, SylverRye, Echofox, Scar, Happy Pow, Tekken Master, Deoxys, Big D. There's no bracket yet. This is supposed to be Big D. When is this happening? Did you say?
So the finals is going to be taking place in Chicago on November 13th, which is a Tuesday, which is extremely confusing.
Yeah,
but that's besides the point. For those that don't know, the finals is consisting of actually, I believe it's the top 13 U.S. ranked, the Liga Latina winner, the Last Chance winner, and the Intercontinental Champion. The reason why it looks so strange is because a lot of those winners, with the exception of LCQ, were like high ranked. So like Intercontinental Champion is Tekken Master, Liga Latina, I believe it was
Hey, George.
It was Hey George, right? Which is gonna be super cool. But those are the people that are all set.
We held an intercontinental championship.
Well, that's a completely different conversation that I have a lot to talk about, but I don't want to talk about that because we don't have a lot of time left.
Yeah, well,
So let's
I
go ahead
do.
and get.
Well, they don't have the bracket, I guess. But what are your? Because I want to know from you. You are easily in this conversation the best Injustice 2 player. So I want to know what are your chances. How do you like yourself going forward? And what are your expectations?
So looking at the IPS, I mean, the brackets aren't out yet, but judging by seeding, you can do that math by yourself. I do know that since Basics won LCQ, he goes up against Tweety first round,
Okay.
which is interesting because not only, is Tweety like the #1 ranked player, they also are training partners, it's going to be interesting because Basics has leveled up so well by playing Tweety. So it's going to be that extra layer of mind games. It's actually going to be a really sick set to watch. As far as who I think is going to win, I love Tweety. I think he's an awesome player, and he's exactly what this community needs right now. I don't see him winning IPS. To be completely honest, I think it's going to be a toss-up between I think SylverRye actually has a really good chance of taking this. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. For one thing, you aren't getting Hellboy experience, the right Hellboy experience, unless you're playing Rye. Like, that's one of those things that he has against a lot of people. I think it's going to be a toss-up between Rye. I think it's going to be a toss-up. I'm going to put Irish Mantis a little bit higher up there as well. And then I think the rest is just a toss-up.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I have to interject for 1 second. Can you repeat what you just said about Hellboy experience?
I'm not, because I know exactly where you're going to go with it.
Come on, man. You just told me.
I'm not falling for your traps, dude. I've known you for 7 years. I know what you're doing. We don't have that kind of time.
I want to be a lawyer, man. I just want to hear. Can you just repeat?
Bro, what's the setup? What's the setup, though?
Back if you need to.
I want to hear the follow-up.
Say it. Can you repeat what you just said?
Just what's the setup?
You aren't getting Hellboy experience unless you're playing.
This is really funny because I heard that there was an old era, this is the new era, in which now that we have the way it is and we have more players than ever, that you never have a situation in which you could only get good experience versus one player. I heard that about me with Sub-Zero, Rio with Cabal, Carl with Kung Lao, Dave with Freddy, and yet 2018 from 2011, 7 years later, I hear the exact same words come out of Big D's mouth when we're supposed to be in an era where this does not exist. Big D, do you care to explain?
Yeah, actually I do, because you're not understanding why it is the way it is. It's not because, characters aren't diverse or whatever reason you want to throw out there. I'm simply saying because Hellboy is he has a very high learning curve, and no one has hit that quite like Rye. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying, if you're not, playing a certain way, then you have no chance against, winning against this character. It's like, no, it's because Rye has ascended to a level with that character that no one else has done yet. Whether that's because no one else plays Hellboy like that, whether because there's not a lot of Hellboy players out there to begin with, it doesn't matter. The point is that is true.
I agree with you 100% on that, especially about Rye. So could I be accurate in saying the truth is, while our scene has grown, the level of the number of quality players has not grown as much as the number of N1s, which is why we have false numbers. The reason
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because you still have very high quality players. You have a lot of those. And we just talked about earlier about how the skill gap in this game is very small.
By the way,
it's hard to gauge that by the characters that they play. Hellboy is not a very popular character in Injustice for whatever reason. That doesn't mean that the caliber or the quality of these players is lower because we're not seeing more Hellboy.
I'm not asking you why it is. My point is that still does exist today, correct?
It will always exist. In any fighting game, it will always exist.
I doubt JDCR is the only player you can play to get Mishima experience.
Okay,
and that's probably
I just want to say something. Going back to the IPS finals, I just want to say something. I think it's going to be, Tweety and Rewind have a good chance to make grand finals. But personally, I think Hayate is gonna end up winning it.
That's my pick too.
I would just because I think it's gonna be his time to win a big
My
tournament.
pick is Tweety. I think Tweety is an inspiration to a lot of people out there. Tweety, the way Tweety started out in fighting games and where he was and where he is now. Tweety was never originally thought to be the most talented, and maybe he isn't. But Tweety has worked hard, and Tweety is an inspiration to anyone out there who thinks I can't do it. You can look at Tweety and how much he's worked, and I would pick Tweety to win, and I think Tweety should inspire everyone based on how well he's playing.
All I know is that these finals, it's going to be insane to watch, and it's going to be. I think every set is.
Yeah, it's going to be quality matches all around.
Not just another round stream. Where else is it being broadcast?
Well, to be completely honest,
it's also on TV, right?
Yeah, it's on TV. I just don't know what channel.
Yeah, what channel? It's also on the ESPN app. They will be airing it at what day is it? After midnight after the cornhole championship. Cornhole's at 11, and then you can watch a replay of our stream.
God, you're petty.
You're so lame.
Wait, what?
Okay, anyway.
Wait, what is going on?
By the way, my picks
so bad.
I'm just giving you the line.
I didn't give my picks yet. Hold on.
Oh yeah, your picks.
Look it up, Big D. It's true, actually. Look it up.
I call Hayate versus like SylverRye like grand finals, and then like Biohazard in there like top 3 or something like that.
I can see that. Like I can definitely see that.
But Big D, you didn't even answer my question, man. How do you think far you will go?
Wait, what's the question?
I asked you how far do you think you will go?
I asked him that earlier. He told me it depends on if Ivy gets.
You talking about me? How far I'm gonna go? I'm not qualified.
He said if Ivy gets an armored push, that he'll go really far.
Fuck off, Brady. All right, so here's the thing. I'm not qualified for IPS. Remember, it's top 13 ranked points, and then the 3 winners from all of those last chance tournaments. No, I'm not qualified. I didn't go to last chance qualifier.
I'm surprised you didn't go to ECT then, because I thought for sure you were qualified.
I will tell you where I think I would have went. If I won LCQ, I would have went up against Tweety and lost, and I probably would have ended up getting.
All right, I see. Well, we have about 10 minutes left. I want to do the Fool of the Week segment.
Fool of the Week? We still doing Fool of the Week?
Tom, it might
what
be you.
the hell?
It might be you, man. You better watch out. So I'm going to go with, so I was reading a thread on Test Your Might. Honestly haven't been following because I don't really care. But apparently this dude named NinjaKiller, I don't know who he is. I don't really care.
Don't name him Fool of the Week, man.
He's a Fool of the Week for sure. He was bragging about beating how he's like the best MKX player right now. It's like, dude, nobody plays. All the good people have quit and move on. And this dude's like, yeah, I'm the best. Like, I need everybody's opinion on this because this is really.
Wait, was it NinjaKiller that made the thread?
I don't know if he was, but I think maybe somebody else did for him. Then I saw another video that you linked me to where he was beating up SylverRye or something like that. Apparently that proved.
Yeah, it's playing right now on stream.
I'm gonna make you the unfool of the week, and I'm actually gonna take your side on this.
Well, I just want to say this because NinjaKiller isn't going around saying he's the best.
Who is?
Like he's actually a pretty humble player. Everybody's saying he's the best because dude, he's been beat.
You showed me a video of him beating. Okay, if you're not saying you're the best, why are you uploading a series of you beating up Zyphox really bad?
Dude, okay, Dave, it's 2018. Everybody uploads their wins.
No.
Like, this is the generation.
Why is there like a message? Oh, I beat him really bad, but this is not to show that I'm better. Dude, shut the fuck up. Of course you're showing that. Why are you uploading it on your YouTube then? That's pathetic that people do that in this day and age. Are you really that desperate for attention that you need to upload a video of beating up Sonic?
Wait. To be fair, everybody. Wait, hold on. Everybody was literally saying they need to see SylverRye or NinjaKiller because they were saying SylverRye will come out of retirement and beat him bad because this and that, yada yada. They were all hyping up SylverRye to come play him and saying NinjaKiller has no chance, this and that. SylverRye would slap that Liu Kang up. So they all wanted this to happen. It wasn't NinjaKiller saying, "Yo, bring out SylverRye, he's free." Everybody was saying that NinjaKiller's whatever, he wouldn't last a chance for SylverRye.
All he was doing was
so then they play.
Himself.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't like, I'm telling you, he's not this guy who's going around saying he has a huge ego saying, I'm the best, yo, come at me. He's not like that. It's the people talking for him that are doing that.
I will say, though, I don't see why this whole thing came to be. I mean, I could look at you all right now in the eye and go, guess what, guys? I'd mop you all in Bomberman 64. Does anybody fucking care? No.
Yeah, the fuck
Who gives a
right.
shit? No, but I would actually.
Well, here's the thing though. It's kind of different because it's not. Here's the thing though. Right now, it's kind of different because
I'll take that. But
yeah. There's not there's not any like offline tournaments happening, right? For MKX, we can say that.
Yeah.
But Destroyer does these online tournaments, and he does them for money, and good players sign up. Like right now, all the best players that are currently playing and grinding MKX are signing up in them. You don't have like random like
on the term that
like you don't have random shit bitches joining these tournaments. Like you got like all the current like really good players that play MKX that have been grinding the game for like 4 years past. Like if you join a tournament,
so
you're not gonna play some shit person. You have people like Tweety, you have people like Rewind,
that NinjaKiller
Destroyer.
Has won. Can you name some other players that he has played?
You have good quality people like Foxy Grandpa, dude. I'm telling you, you have good players entering these tournaments that were winning tournaments during MKX's prime.
You know we went through this with MK9. We quit playing, and then all of a sudden these guys from South America are like, yeah, we're the best. And you were laughing at those guys, and now you're defending this bullshit.
Yeah, but MK9 was different because MK9 there wasn't online tournaments for money, so I mean there was nothing really like.
We quit. Those guys like, oh yeah, I have the best cabal. You know this was going, and we were all laughing at those.
Dude, maybe they were. Like I stopped playing MK9 after like 2013.
Okay, here's my problem.
What you were saying back then.
Dude, this is retarded, man. I mean, dude, God, man, why do we do this to each other?
Look, I think it's hype. I don't get what the big deal is. This guy comes out of nowhere, plays super crispy Liu Kang, and is just demolishing everybody. I think that's hype and good for the scene to have somebody beat Sonic Fox 30-5. Like where have you ever seen Sonic lose that battle?
Dude, this is so stupid, man. The bottom line is to everybody watching here who was probably like, oh, Tom brought up MK9. One, I don't care. I play Diablo 4 when it comes out. I'll actually have viewers that like fighting game players. One, two. No, I'm joking, guys.
You better play on PC.
I don't know why, man. I just in such a jokey mood right now, man. Dude, I'm doing these GR 120s, man. I'm gonna fucking blow my brains out, dude, trying to clear this shit.
You better be playing Diablo 4 on PC, by the way.
I'll play it. Why would I play it on console? What am I, Jupiter? Fucking hey, bro, I'm Paragon 5000 the first day with these hacks, dude. Jupiter.
Fucking add me on BattleNet then. Let's do it.
Add me on BattleNet, bro. Come on, why don't you hop on D3?
I'll DM you.
Mop you up free. No, so like seriously though. So one of the things I always hear about in our community, and one thing, this is what we do the worst at. The problem is we don't transfer over. We don't build on top of stuff. We build, we demolish, and we rebuild. And whenever we rebuild, we always rebuild with less blocks than we started. We rebuild with false blocks. Like we throw a ton of money at stuff. And then we say, look at how big it is. Evo, which Evo doesn't count for numbers because Evo, half of the people that enter are, yeah, I'm going to Evo kind of people, right? They're not really, those guys, a lot of those guys, well, not a lot of them, but some of them don't translate to everyday tournaments. So really, and then once the money is gone and it's like, who loves the game? Who's coming out? Then we're dead in the water. And I feel like the problem is we don't carry over blocks from one game to the next. NinjaKiller is a great example. I once heard Theo tweet and said he doesn't understand, and I commend Theo for this. He doesn't understand why when the next game comes out, the old one has to die. He said, like, why doesn't Justice 2 have to die just because Mortal Kombat 11 came out? Or why does MKX have to die just because Injustice 2 comes out? And here's why.
I agree with that.
And here's why. Because we will laugh at you if you try to stay playing the old game. Here's a guy like NinjaKiller. Here's a guy like NinjaKiller. Hold on.
Let him speak, Dave.
Here's a guy like NinjaKiller.
I want to hear his point.
He called nobody out. He's not on Twitter. He's not making threads saying, I'm the best player. Those guys don't know what I would have done. He's not taking wins away from people and saying, oh, what I would have done if I was there. Like we do that to Carl. We literally take Carl and strip his 3 Evo medals because we say, well, you wouldn't have won that if this guy was there, which is because we're retarded.
What are you talking about?
Oh, come on, stop. We got.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Stop. Do we not treat Carl? We have people who have whose biggest accomplishment is getting top 8 once or twice in their life, and they are seen higher than a 3-time Evo champion. So I don't want to get into that.
Called out the best player, probably the
NinjaKiller is not calling anyone out. He's
I'm
not.
talking about Carl. If you want to mention Carl, then defend your damn point. The point is he called out Sonic Fox, talked major shit, and lost 30-0. Yes.
And we agree to that in that game, but that doesn't look. You know what? Nick Foles can talk
If
all.
you talk too much, you lose your reputation.
Okay, Nick Foles right now can come out and talk all the shit he wants to Andrew Luck. Guess what? It doesn't matter. One has a ring, one will never see one.
You
It doesn't
claim to
matter.
be a numbers guy, and you fail to mention the easiest point. Literally, it's like a layup. The reason we can't play 2 games is because we don't have the amount of players that other communities. We are a small community.
But why kill somebody for trying? The point is,
I'm not killing anybody. I'm not killing. I'm saying
not you per se.
Theo and Sonic Fox played Injustice 2.
That's fine. Okay, that's fine. The guy's not asking for credit. He's not asking for a trophy. The dude is not asking for a trophy. He's not on making threads about how he would have won this or would have won that. He's giving credit to the top players of the game's era. He's doing nothing wrong. Yet, a dude.
This guy just likes playing MKX. He loves the game.
A dude who's just trying to play the game he loves. He could be saying, you know what? I love Mortal Kombat. Injustice isn't my thing. I'm going to play.
I don't remember you posting up a series of beating Theo in, Superman Mirror because you were so damn desperate for attention. Get out of here, dude. This is pathetic. All of you know this is pathetic.
You can't have it both ways, because if he lost, somebody would have put that online to prove that he's not as good as he thinks. You can't have it both ways.
You never uploaded yourself because you were so desperate for attention or to
no one else is going to upload it. Everyone is against this guy, man. No, you can't have it both. I'm so tired. Dude, I am so tired of this generation. This generation, you guys are a bunch of fucking babies. This is generation. I hear the term used option select all the time. You know who option selects? This fighting game generation. This fighting game generation is the king of saying, we think this is going to happen, and make demand and challenge and challenge. And then if the result they don't expect happens, it doesn't count. He shouldn't. Everybody would expect Sonic Fox to maul this NinjaKiller. Yeah, Sonic is going to teach him. NinjaKiller wins. This bum, NinjaKiller. Why'd he upload it? If Sonic would have demolished him, that would be front page on every site. NinjaKiller destroyed. The myth ended. MKX. You can't have it both ways.
That is so true, though. That is 100%, Dave. Come on, let's be honest here.
No, that's all lies. Dude, I don't even like Sonic Fox, dude. I criticize Sonic Fox in this community more than anybody else.
If Foxy Grandpa would have taken this dude to the woodshed, or Scar or anybody else, we'd have heard how the MKX gods entered Destroyer's tournament and put NinjaKiller in his place. Instead, the outcome everyone expected didn't happen. Well, he's a necro. He's a necromancer. He plays the whole game. Come on,
that's kind of that's a pretty insulting.
Hold on a minute.
You can't have it both ways, Dave.
Foxy and Scar don't have to do that because they already won offline, you dumbass.
So why would you embarrass? Why would you talk?
I'm not embarrassing anybody. I'm not talking. I'm just saying why.
You know what makes you insecure? When you lose to somebody and then you bash them. That makes it. I mean, dude. No.
Okay, here's the thing I don't get, dude. Okay, Dave.
Stop.
What is wrong with NinjaKiller playing the game and loving MKX? He loves the game and plays it. Why does he have to get bashed?
I never said anything about that.
Foxy is one of the best players.
Then what is the issue? I don't understand. It's like
is the issue. That's what he's saying. It's the
upload.
Dude, okay, stop.
If he lost,
look, stop.
Think if he lost,
it's 2018. It's 2018. Everybody uploads their shit. There's people uploading everything gets uploaded to YouTube now. It's the future, man.
To the NinjaKiller's credit, everyone wanted to see them fight that match.
Everybody wanted to see this because they were all saying NinjaKiller isn't good. Sonic Fox will smoke him. That's why this happened. That's why this happened. Do you not understand that, Dave?
All I know is back in the
because here's my problem.
You're acting like NinjaKiller was like seeking out Sonic to fight him, and
you guys were on my side back in the day.
But if he had lost,
doing this to me,
hold on.
All right, I'm stopping all.
Okay,
wait.
No.
Y'all need to stop talking over each other because no one can understand anything.
All right, can I just say something? Because I feel like Dave doesn't understand. Dave, currently, right now, NinjaKiller just isn't playing first to fives with people online and then claiming he's the best. Okay. Destroyer, who's doing a great job right now running these online hype MKX tournaments, he's inviting people and they're doing competition. They're playing for money, Dave. So it's like a tournament set. First 3. It's not these random first 10 online sets Thursdays afternoon inviting Sonic.
This is so unfair to them.
They're entering at will.
So
Foxy, whoever players entered, they entered thinking they were going to win the money and won, and then they lost, and then all this drama happened for literally no reason. If they didn't want drama, why'd they enter
You
the
know
tournament? Just let
what's-
NinjaKiller play, say he's good, move on. There's no, I don't get what the big deal is. He loves MKX, he likes to play. Why is he getting
Dave, let me
bashed?
ask you a question. Here's what's so unfair to NinjaKiller. Had he had lost and uploaded it, you wouldn't have had a problem. You
Yeah.
can't have it both ways.
No,
This is not
I
Burger
don't
King,
even.
You-
I don't. even care
Zyphox,
about
do you
that.
agree? If he'd have lost and
I agree.
uploaded, nobody would have cared.
I agree. It's not Burger King, dude.
No,
And you know what's funny? Let's say NinjaKiller even says he's the best right now in 2018 MKX. Is he wrong?
No, he's not.
Dave,
Is he wrong, really? Because I see him playing everybody.
Dave hates
and
offense
winning.
so much that he's like, that once NinjaKiller wins Liu Kang, Dave was like, if this fool loses, I'll watch it. If he wins, I don't want to
No,
see this garbage.
I just don't like. Well, here's the thing. Back in the day, I don't know how Big D felt, but I know how the two of you felt, and you guys are hypocrites.
I feel like I have to repeat myself with Dave. Dave doesn't understand. Back in the day, MK9 Online 2013-14, there weren't tournaments online with money, Dave. Do you understand that?
I know.
There's a difference here.
No, there's a difference.
So what do you mean
No,
then?
I'll give you something right now. Did Tom, when we had the beef between Tom and Theo in Injustice 1, was Tom desperate, or was Theo desperate enough to like upload a series where he beat him online and posted it online? No,
You know, he
they were
wasn't
grown men. They went to a tournament and they duked it out, and everybody came to see it. That's how it should be. You don't record some random ass online series that post it on like, okay, just a disclaimer, Zyphox is still good. Please don't think that I'm better. Then why are you putting that shit?
But
Dude,
people
read
asked
that.
him
I just
to
told
put
you
it
why
up.
he put it up. Everybody was
asked him.
requesting this. Everybody was saying everybody was saying NinjaKiller isn't shit. Sonic would blow his smokes out like he's crap.
Yeah,
They were
Hold on.
literally saying
Hold
that.
on.
Sonic played, he would be.
How do you not see that picture, Dave?
No. This is even a better picture than that.
Everybody wanted this. Now that it
People
happened and
wanted to
NinjaKiller ended up winning, now it's a big deal because the
Sonic
wrong person
Fox-
ended up winning.
Sonic Fox is playing for money offline, son. He doesn't have time to fight some.
Okay, then tell me this: why does Sonic take the time to seek out NinjaKiller? Be like, yo, let me add him, let me play him, and then turn on his PS4, pop in MKX, and then go play him.
Why do we do this? Why do we do
Why
this?
he didn't have to play him?
Why do we do
Sonic
this?
didn't have to play him.
How unfair is this to NinjaKiller?
Nobody held the
How
gun at Sonic's
unfair
head.
is this
Say
to
you have to play
NinjaKiller? Look
NinjaKiller.
at this. Look at this. Look at this. Here's the dude.
I think it's fucked
Here's
up,
the
honestly.
dude just playing the game he loves. And here's what we've done. NinjaKiller.
nobody
When you
has a
beat
problem with that.
NinjaKiller, here's Dave. NinjaKiller, when you beat these rushdown zealots, when you beat these fools, right? I don't want to see the videos. But when you lose, aha! Come on, man. That's not fair. This dude literally cannot lose once. I've never seen people are dying for this dude to lose.
I think making fun of him and calling him a necro is kind of messed
People
up too.
are dying for this dude to lose just so they can say, aha, why can't it just be we've moved on? We know you've all moved on. You don't think we know Sonic and Foxy and all those guys have moved on? Of course we
Hey,
do.
nobody's saying Sonic's not a good player.
Why can't the dude just play in peace? Okay? Why is it a problem for him to beat people who have moved on?
The bigger question: why is it an issue to play MKX in 2018?
He's just playing a game that he loves. People asked him to play other people. They asked him for the videos. If he wins or loses, the video's going online. You can't have a problem with the video going online just because of the outcome.
Again, you're under the assumption that I'm some kind of big Sonic Fox supporter, which you know I'm not.
I'm
It's
not
even
saying
about-
that. I'm just saying that you seemed like as if he had lost and put the video up, you wouldn't have had a problem with it.
Okay, so apparently, just to kind of stop everyone for a second, because I'm looking at this chat and all I'm seeing is SylverRye just constantly talking.
Oh no, I'm telling
one knows-
SylverRye, get on right now. 'Cause I want to hear SylverRye's
We're gonna
point.
get him in here.
I just
to
saw
see
that.
if he
I wanna
can
hear
shed some-
SylverRye's
Hold on. We're gonna get him in here to see if he could shed some light on this. We already know that NinjaKiller is humble. We already know that he has fans. So I don't know what this dude keeps saying that none of us know what we're talking about.
I'm on his
So
side, man.
Of course, we're all on his side. I think it was okay that NinjaKiller uploaded it, and the only
I
reason
think it's fine.
the only reason why is because I don't see an issue with anybody uploading anything unless you're cherry picking games. Other than that, there should be no negative stigma when uploading. That's just how it is now. You always hear people, oh, you got to build a brand now. You got to like get your name out there. Cool. All I'll upload says, oh, now I'm getting blown up for it. There's no.
That is true. That is the thing to do
You
now.
can't choose one
Again,
of. You
I
can't
believe
just have
if
everything.
he loses, he would put it up. If he wins, he would put it up. That's fair. And the difference is it would be whenever NinjaKiller loses a match, we can't find those videos. But when he wins, all those are online. Then I would have a problem with it. But this guy, win or lose, if he's going to put something up, he puts it up in its entirety. Doesn't edit anything, nothing. You know, the dude clearly knows it may not go his way. He enters these knowing he may lose with the intention of uploading them anyway. So to me, he's just trying to provide content for a game to keep whatever small community that still plays it alive. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think this is the reason why we can't go to other games, because it's like we can't keep an old game alive, because even if you just want to keep it there, even if there were like 50 people who we all know, Sonic and whoever, have moved on to the next game. But even if those 50 people want to show up to a tournament, pay their money, those 50 people would play their game and probably also join in our next game, but they would primarily want to play the game they love. Instead, we cut them off. We say, you don't deserve a tournament for your game. You don't deserve to be treated like normal players. You are second-class citizens in this community.
Stop making stuff up, dude. Like,
is that not how we treat the dude? We made a term, necros, to describe people that play dead games. You know what game is dead? Your current one. Stop making fucking... Dude, man. Good God.
Dude,
man.
nobody's saying...
Your current game is as dead as a fucking doornail. Dude, I don't care. Look, to make fun of people who go back and play what they love, just doing what they love, that's retarded.
Okay, nobody's even saying that.
The only difference between Injustice and MKX is people throwing money into one and not in another. They are both equally as done.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna stop you there. We just had Rod join in, so we're gonna hear.
Yeah, but his thing is muted. He can't hear us, Rye.
I cannot believe the heat this guy is getting.
Rye has the muted mic icon.
Unfair to NinjaKiller.
Yeah,
this is
headset.
so unfair to him.
All right,
dude.
so here's what we're gonna let Rye talk now.
Yeah,
We're gonna let him go ahead. Hold on. We're gonna let him talk now. No one is gonna interrupt him. All right, Brady, I'm looking at you. Put yourself on push to talk, dude. I don't want to hear your voice for 2 minutes.
Too much passion. Go.
I know. All right, Rye, go ahead.
Wait. Before we need to have Rye sounds. Rye, can you say something?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's here.
Okay, good.
All right, go
yeah,
ahead.
your mic's good. I was just
Alright.
making sure you had the good volume.
So the main thing that's happening with NinjaKiller, he doesn't have a lot of haters. Like I've watched his streams before, like on the low, and I've seen him play in Destroyer's tournament. He has a lot of fans. Like the fans are what actually make people talk shit about him, because his fans, you know how fans are. They see the execution, they start dick riding, they start going crazy. You know, he's the best. He would whoop all these players if it was back in the old days, yada yada yada. But it's like I don't think that any of the players hate on him because he beats them. I mean, he doesn't upload anything. As far as I know, he doesn't talk shit. But most of his hate comes from the way that people that like him speak about him. Like I'm hearing people say, like, people want him to fail. Nobody wants him to fail. A lot of people think he's gonna be good. Like, I think he's good. I mean, at first I started to not like him because every fucking time I hear about him, people are comparing me to him, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, we started off at the same time. Like, why do I have to? Oh, you're trash compared to him and shit like that. But like, he doesn't have haters. He doesn't have haters. I think he's a really good player, and it's just like I'm hearing you guys talk about it, and I'm like, there's more going on behind the scenes than just we.
But we
want you to
address
fail.
that.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We addressed that he has a fan base, and we addressed that he wasn't the one that was talking shit.
Right.
We actually
Yeah, just
said
like Sonic
all
and
of
everybody, they all have fan bases.
So wait, so you're saying that a lot of his hate comes from the fact that his fans are basically saying, if he was around back then, he would have done this. If he would, kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? Not so much him.
Yeah, like he doesn't really say much. Like
That's
he's not on
interesting.
like.
It's
social
interesting you
media
say
like
that, because you know where they learned from? You guys who did it to God knows how many players before
It's
you.
not. Whoa. That is not a learned behavior. First of all,
It's
that
not a
is
learned
human
behavior.
instinct to defend someone you like.
Right.
Don't even
But
start
trying to-
saying that we started.
But
that. That's
literally,
ridiculous.
literally taking credit from other people because they might not have won if so and so was there. That was born and raised here in like
I mean,
2013.
Of time,
I mean,
though. Like
you
when
do
I
that all the
got
time
into
with
this,
Peyton Manning,
yeah,
and no, he's not.
What do I was talking about Peyton Manning for? What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, dude. The bottom line is that's true, but to start, but once a top player joins in on the hating,
right.
it makes it acceptable. Rio called me one time and said there's a term called necros because of yada yada. Once a top player does something like that, a top player has tremendous influence. You know this.
Right, but do you know why that term came up? Because
Why?
I was there when Destroyer was playing like his tournament thing. Like when that tournament was going on, it was like some of the old players played like Foxy and I think Tweety was in it, but it was just the way that they were talking. Like all the old players were like, oh, you get mopped, we're mopping you. And then the top players, well, the players that were playing there were like, oh, well, you guys grind, this game is dead. Like, what do you expect? Like, if this game was still alive, like, it's kind of been like a beef between both of them. I'm not saying who's wrong and who's not, because it's FGC, shit talk happens, but it was definitely not just like Tweety sitting around and just came out of nowhere like, hey, look, they're necros. It's what was
Yeah,
getting
absolutely.
said.
But I
Like,
mean,
like,
once
tweet,
a
like
top
when
player does
Foxy
that,
lost to someone named Unbreakable Skill, and a lot of these players are not new. These guys started off with us. I remember I played all of them. But it's like when Foxy lost to Unbearable Skill, like he was like, yeah, you already know what it is. Yeah, I beat him. Yeah, yeah. And everyone's like, yo, calm down. Like, relax a little bit. Like, he's like, yeah, I beat him. I never thought I'd beat him. And then that's when people came up and they're like, yo, like, I mean, of course
he's
you
just
beat him.
excited. I mean, come on, man. He's excited.
I
Because
mean, yeah,
had he
you
lost,
can
had
you
he
can pop
lost,
off. No one shouldn't not pop off. That's your. I mean, if you win, you have the right to. But that's basically where it originated from. And they're like, yo, these necros are getting mad or getting popping off on us. I didn't play. I know I'm trash in this game. I just watch. But that's.
I mean, but still in all, I mean, again, once a top player starts giving a negative connotation to it, it starts to go downhill. And
Yeah.
now there's kind of like a debate between NinjaKiller.
But why is there a debate though?
Why
He
does
still
it
plays the
matter?
game. He's the
Why does
god
it
at the
matter?
game.
He plays
why-
the game
why-
he loves.
I don't get-
NinjaKiller plays the game the right way. He doesn't play it for money, for fame, for tournaments. He plays the game simply because he loves it. And the only
Right.
thing he asks of people is let him play the game in peace.
He does. The thing is, like I said, it's the fans that are rubbing the people that NinjaKiller. I don't know if he pops off. I'm pretty sure behind closed doors he does. That's fine.
What's fan
Even if he
short
did it
for?
openly, that's fine. What?
What is fan short for?
What do you mean?
What is the word fan short for?
Fanatic.
I don't know. That's
Okay, look up the
word.
definition of fanatic. Come on, I mean, that's what fans do.
Yeah, that's what they do. But you can't do that and not expect.
How can we?
Some
How
kind of
can
reaction
we?
from
How
you.
can really? Okay, well, Pittsburgh
Yeah.
Steelers fans, they can't be out there waving their towels and screaming with that. No,
You can do that. You can do
Fans
that.
are
But you. Go
we
ahead, go ahead.
can't. We discourage everything that is a natural progression. As fighting games grow to more of an e-sport, you're going to find that fans are going to
There you
be
go again, making stuff up again that makes no sense.
fans are going to be more fanatical.
All right, saying yes, those guys can cheer. We don't give a damn, but at the same time, we're allowed to criticize them as well. That's all I'm doing right now. I'm allowed to do that. Now, for a fact, I know you guys, Rio and Tom, you used to be against this bullshit. Somebody plays you, they upload something.
But he's not asking for it. He's not asking for the credit.
I don't care what he's doing. No, it's not about the credit. He's uploading stuff online, this particular series, when they shouldn't have been uploaded. That's my only problem. Back in the day,
But everybody gets sniped.
But-
But the thing is, like, if Sonic didn't want this to happen, he should not just
But
not
hold
played
on,
him.
I mean,
Nobody held the
Sonic
gun in
doesn't
his
care.
head.
He
point on this
literally
stuff?
updated his Twitter and he was
Do you
like,
see
"Yo,
my
he's
point, though, SylverRye? Should he have lost, nobody would have cared about it being uploaded.
Oh no,
see
you
my-
already know. If he lost,
Come
nobody,
on, man.
everyone would have been like, yeah,
That's
just
not
Sonic
fair.
Fox, he still got it, But when he won, some people are like, oh, he whooped Sonic. Some people are like, oh, it's because. I mean, that's just gonna happen. You know why it happens, and it may not be right. But when the game was active and there were tournaments going on, these players were placing everywhere. So people just naturally expect, hey, even if they take a break, they should get right real quick. If they play, they should win. And when they don't win, people start making excuses. Oh, this or that happened. But that's how it is. That's how it is.
all right, I just want to make one last point, and I really gotta go. If you guys want to keep it going, that's fine. SylverRye, can you please apologize for Hellboy? Thank you very much,
What about it?
dude.
Apologize for what?
Dude, you were downplaying the character like ridiculously.
I'm not.
Like,
How was I down? He's not top 5. Like that's what I said. I didn't say anything. Like I was not downplaying him. Pick him up and
Yeah.
try him.
I mean, and here's the next
I'm
problem
not
I
saying.
have is
Why don't you pick up Adam and try him? What
am I? Adam is 10 times easier. We're not even gonna get into that, bro.
I think you're
Like,
fine. And
we're
by the
not
way,
even gonna get
SylverRye, let me
into
be the
that.
first to me congratulate you on IPS, and also I didn't get to personally
Thank you.
congratulate you for Evo Top 8. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
But I also Rio did send me a tweet in which I read that Liu Kang and offense in MKX is so much more impressive than people get credit for. There's a funny story about Liu Kang. Zyphox.
Yeah, me and Cam were.
Zyphox, you were there for this. This is a true story. I went to Yomi one time. Remember Yomi? the house of training. Michelangelo, they had this board. Skill rating.
Oh God.
The
Dude, that was
worst
so
player-
stupid. Oh my god, that was a dude. I loved Yomi, but that was the dumbest
The
thing they had
worst
there.
player
I'm
in the
sorry,
world. They rated the worst skill in the world was Zyphox.
dude. Zyphox had like a 2 out of like 10 for every rating. It was so fucked up.
You were there for this, and I was like, and number one was Denzel. Denzel was 10 across the board. Zyphox was 0s and 1s across the board. I was like, so I was like, but what does this mean though? I was like, what does this mean though? And they were like,
And then like Malik and Michelangelo were like, well, in theory, Slayer was like, if Zyphox and
No,
Denzel were
Mike-
fight,
Mike-
Denzel wins free.
I said to them, so let me ask you this: should Zyphox play Denzel in tournament? What would happen? They go free. It wouldn't even be close. I was like, Denzel would.
Dude,
crush
why did
him?
we have that?
Free? I was like, they're like, yeah, on free. I was like, what if he used that Liu Kang stuff in Dragon's Fire? You don't think Zyphox could crush him? They were like, no chance. What happened, Zyphox?
I gave Denzel the worst tournament loss of his career, but I'm just saying. Nah, that's obviously my brother, but
Yeah, of
like,
course. But we all know how we knew how everyone knew. Here's what's so dumb. Everyone knew this was oppressive back then. Everyone knew MKX offense was oppressive
Right.
that when. Now all of a sudden NinjaKiller starts beating it, and we say, "Well, we didn't know how oppressive it was."
No,
Everyone knew it.
it's definitely
Everyone
not.
knew.
No,
They
no,
just
Tom.
trying to say they
Even
didn't
during
know.
the life of MKX, we were like, "Yo, this game is oppressive as
But
fuck."
it
Like, why do
just
we have
takes
2-bar
more
push
credit
block?
from NinjaKiller. It seems like there are so many people in the know that are good players who just won't let the guy alone.
Yeah, there's a lot of people bitching saying NinjaKill's getting carried by Lou and Lou's broken and
Why are
shit.
people even saying?
Guess
he's
what?
Who? What? Like,
Who
how is
cares?
it- in this
You can
point of
get
the game,
carried by bad characters too. I got carried by Sub-Zero and K9. You can get carried by bad characters too. It's not about whether the character is good or bad, it's how it fits you. He's playing the game he
Right.
loves with a character he loves that fits him. And again, to my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, SylverRye, his only
Uh-huh.
request is I just want to play in peace and be left alone. If you want to play, I'm always down for play. But it just seems
Well,
like
yeah, I know
if you
you're going
join, you can't join his channel. That's like me. I hate the Patriots, even though my name's Tom Brady. That's like me paying to go to Gillette Stadium and then complaining about how rabid the fans there were. If you go
Right.
to his stream, you're gonna get his fans.
of course.
To say I don't like what they're saying, then don't go to the stadium.
Tom, hold on. Sorry to interrupt you there, but no, like his fans are just definitely not in his stream. Like they're in every. Like I stream Injustice too, and I have people come in my stream like, "Yo, when are you gonna run a mirror? Yo, his Liu Kang's better." Like his fans are annoying. They really are.
I mean, but
They really
fans are
are.
like, but fans make us what we are. Without those annoying fans, nobody would give a shit about any of us.
Now
I mean-
I have to ask because I don't follow that NinjaKiller beef that much, but like I understand the points of it. You keep saying that people are jumping on NinjaKiller, and I'm very curious as to who, because I keep hearing, oh everybody, oh I see all this shit about everybody. Who the fuck is everybody?
Well, dude, if you go to the YouTube comments in the video, like a lot of them are saying.
Well,
he's,
that's
like,
your first mistake. We
Yeah,
all know
yeah,
how
man.
stupid those comment sections are.
Comments are silly.
Like,
Yeah, but the thing is, you have to understand, Big D. Every single one of those comments was somebody getting on their keyboard that day and just really writing how they feel.
but that's with
We don't know who any of those people are. That's
situation,
who.
though.
lot
Like,
of
and dude,
influence,
dude, the thing is, any of those people in the comments, they could be anybody.
It could be. It could be someone on a Heidi. You never know.
That's the thing. Like, you don't even know who those people are. That's
but
like, it really makes you see.
Here's the thing, though. You can't look at that. I'm talking about if they're coming out publicly, right? Like people that like wholesome names that people know are saying, "Oh, NinjaKiller is whatever derogatory term, whether it's a necro, whatever the fuck you guys talk about now." But the point is that you can't use comment sections as the basis of everybody's opinion. That's insane. Dude, have you seen those comment sections for, I don't know, anything related to Injustice
But
2?
we should be
Bro, I don't even
encouraging
scroll down
this.
past
We
the
should
video
be
bar, man.
encouraging this behavior. Because dude, man, when I'm at work,
I think this is the best thing to happen to
Look,
MKX
the
since
thing
like
is,
2016.
People do encourage it because I even see on YouTube, I see people say, oh, he's really good. Who's gonna play him next? Tweety's like, yo, when IPS is done, I'm
Yeah.
gonna grind the game. I really want to play him. But like when you start,
Yeah.
it's just the people saying, oh, if he played in the game's prime, he would have did it. He played in the game's prime, or
But-
in MK11, he's on mop all you
The
guys.
thing is-
People start that's getting all rubbed.
The thing is, because of all this NinjaKiller drama, it's like it's giving people a reason to watch MKX right now, and
Yes.
a bunch of people are looking forward to Destroyer's next Invitational,
Yeah, they are.
which is at the end of November, and they have over 1K pop bonus for
which
it.
is
Kinda
great.
crazy.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying that shit talk is bad. I am one of the biggest advocates saying that this scene doesn't have enough shit talking. Everyone's a little bit too friendly. But at the same time, you have to have that line between. There's a difference between saying that NinjaKiller isn't that good and Fox would wash him. That's okay shit talk. Saying that NinjaKiller isn't relevant because he's still playing the game, that's not okay.
Yeah,
and people need to understand the difference between that.
But the only thing, and I don't mean to say this as like any type of shade or hater, but like when you say relevant, like what do you like? Because for us to become relevant, we definitely were not getting relevant off of online sets. Like I know when I came into the FGC, every time I played an online set, oh he's good, but go to fuck offline. I was really getting it. So like you can't just come out of
but to be fair, Rye, when you played, it was different with MKX.
It was different.
Offline tournaments were blooming.
Rio, you're right, but I'm also gonna agree with Rye to a certain extent because at the end of the day, especially for us who put the time, the effort, and the money to travel offline, that is how we decide if you're good or not. But you can't say whether someone is good or not and say that being good and being relevant is the same thing. It's very different. It's very different, and it's kind of hard to define. But at the same time, you can be good. Like NinjaKiller is a good player. He's relevant in this timeline as long as people make that distinction.
I agree.
If they go ahead and say that
if people,
hold on,
I agree. Dude, hold on.
NinjaKiller is relevant in this timeline. He is a great player.
Want
but if you look at the
that's what I'm saying.
He's not relevant anymore.
Hold on. If you look at the MKX all-time greats, he's not in there because it's one set. I'm not picking on NinjaKiller. Tom, I swear to God, dude, if you just think before you speak and understand what I'm trying to say, you'll understand that I'm not picking on NinjaKiller. I just said 5 minutes ago that he is a great player and that this is perfect for the scene. He deserves to play a game that he likes to do. Think before you speak on what you're about to say.
Relevant.
Can I just say something real quick?
Relevant.
Look, I want to say I agree. I think NinjaKiller right now is the best 2018 MKX player. I would hope people are not saying that because of what he's doing now or because the set he beat Sonic 30-5 that he's better than Sonic was back in 2015, 2016. Because Sonic he's the most accomplished player MKX ever. Like he won the most money, he won the most tournaments. He's the best of all time.
Okay, I gotta stop because Tom's just talking under his breath. So me and Tom are about to have a conversation right now.
Yeah, we're gonna have a conversation. Let me ask you this, man. How relevant right now would you say Tim Brown is in the NFL?
I don't watch football, so you're gonna have to.
He's irrelevant. He retired. He's one of the greatest wide receivers of all time, but he's retired. He's not relevant in football. See how dumb that is? We don't use those terms. Dude's got a gold jacket.
Your version of relevant is very different from mine. I'm not saying that the dude is literally just a non-factor in the scene. That's what you're making it seem like I'm saying. Those are your fucking definition.
What I'm saying is this community doesn't understand.
We're not talking about the community right now, Tom. We're talking about you and me. I'm not speaking for the community. I'm speaking for myself. If you have a problem with how I'm defining the term relevant, then you can address that. But don't start talking about the.
What I'm saying is, I to say he's relevant in today's timeline. Again, that just causes more heat on NinjaKiller. It seems as if he's trying to show that he's a relevant whatever right now, and that just only adds to.
It's just an observation, though.
Yeah, it's just really an observation, but it's perceived negatively. It's just a term that trust me. When you start saying relevant or irrelevant in a concept, there's nothing positive that gets gained from that because it automatically has a both positive and negative undertone to those things. Relevant and irrelevant are not really good ways to describe it. I don't think NinjaKiller is trying to be relevant. I think it's just far simpler than that. It's not about who is or is not relevant. Sometimes people just do stuff because they like doing it. I like going to the gym. I like jogging. Am I a relevant jogger? No, but I don't care. I don't need to be. The last thing I want, God, let's say my youth is let's say go to the Fountain of Youth, right? And how about this? The last thing I want is to be jogging alongside of Carl Lewis and have more wind in my breath, right? And I'm out running him and have somebody going, "Hey, you think you're as relevant as Carl Lewis?" No, I'm just
Dude, basically what Tom is saying.
Example makes absolutely no sense.
It doesn't. Is that what we're doing?
Dude, wait, hold on. Basically, wait, Tom,
First of all,
one
joggers
second.
can't be relevant. I don't know what the fuck that even means. Like, that's not even a thing.
Like runners. Like I like to run.
Basically, what Tom is saying is he's saying NinjaKiller is playing the game not for money or fame. He's playing because he loves the game.
That's
And
fine.
That's all he's playing for.
We're making it out like it's for money or fame or to prove
No,
something.
Yeah,
that's
he's just
not
playing
what
'cause he's
we're
playing.
making it out for. That's literally
ask
not
you a
even
question?
my point.
Why is he relevant to today's timeline then? He doesn't
can I
care
ask a
about being
question?
relevant.
That's
to today's
not what I.
Why, like, is this really like a topic that? Because like I've seen him since 2015. Like he used to pop in my chat sometimes, and I used to try to tell him like, "Yo, compete," and he never competed. All right, he never wanted to. He just started in Destroyers thing.
Maybe
But,
he
like,
doesn't want to compete. Maybe he just
why
plays
is
for
this
fun.
like super relevant to the
This
point that people
this
are getting in
topic
their
was not
feelings
even
and
supposed to be
he's-
going on this long. This was supposed to be
Yeah.
like a little thing that we had as like a filler right before the end, and it came into like this massive conversation that it doesn't matter. It already happened, and I already said that I agreed with Tom that there's no problem with NinjaKiller uploading that set. There's literally no problem at all with that. So I don't agree with MT Dave on that. And me saying that NinjaKiller and the whole thing with the relevancy thing, I think Tom is misunderstanding what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say right now is that it doesn't matter whether he was relevant during the prime of the game. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, that's correct. I'm glad I agree with
Relevancy
you.
does not matter.
Yeah,
I'm saying
my
you,
point
and this is exactly what I said. I don't know if you were in there. This was before you came on. I said at the very beginning of this podcast, I said with a lot of topics considering MKX, you have to understand and you have to pinpoint exactly what timeline of MKX you're talking about. That goes for skill, that goes for the state of the game in itself, it goes for the money that was involved with the game, it goes with a whole bunch of things. So if you're talking about MKX from a 2015 to 2016 point of view, NinjaKiller's not in there, even though he was in the beginning. Does it matter? No one fucking cares. Nobody cares. All we're talking about right now is that NinjaKiller played against Fox to defend himself, uploaded because that's what his fans wanted, and that's all there is to it. Relevancy is complete. Relevancy is fucking irrelevant.
Relevancy is irrelevant. 100% agree.
Random question. Me personally, I don't really care anymore if I get uploaded. But like, did he like just upload it, or did he ask, or
He uploaded the entire set. The entire set after it was done. It was going to happen regardless of whether he won it.
Yeah, I just wanted to know. Okay.
And here's the thing. I actually want Rye's opinion on this because we've dealt with this before.
By the way, he asked Sonic. Sonic said he didn't care.
Yeah, Sonic doesn't care about shit like that.
And Sonic gave him a lot of credit after their set.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's how it's supposed to be. Sonic Fox came on saying, thinking he was going to be able to mop him. Gets fucking molly-whopped by NinjaKiller. Gives him props, moves on.
Right,
take notes, guys. NRS needs to take notes on that entire situation. But anyway, talking about uploading real quick. And this question for Rye because he's a guest on the podcast now. You say you don't have a problem when people upload you, correct?
I mean, yeah, I really don't get uploaded, but like if I were to go online, it would jolt me for maybe like a few seconds because I'll know like how the set went depending on how they upload.
Now that's exactly what I was going to get into. People need to understand that there is a difference between uploading and cherry picking, and cherry picking is a massive problem. God forbid you go on the ranked Injustice 2, you find Cryptic Goku or whatever the fuck that dude's name is, right?
That fresh Wi-Fi connection.
Fresh Wi-Fi. Poor Tweety beat him like 25-3. What do you find on YouTube? Cryptic Goku
that one win?
beats Tweety in a 1-1. That's all it is.
1.
That's all it is, and that's a problem.
Yeah, cherry picking is.
That guy's completely irrelevant. Nobody cares who he is with without that video.
But you see, there's the thing. You build a fan base off of cherry picking. And that's mad disrespectful to whoever you've been playing.
Who does that? You know who does that? That VL guy. What's it? VLHJ or whatever his name is. That MKX
VLJ?
Wait, VLJ does that?
He secretly records you, and if you win, he'll upload. I mean, if you
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah.
But that's fine. My point that I'm trying to make is it's just kind of like a general statement because we all have been in the scene for a while now, is that it's okay to upload. Yeah, it sucks because you get to see that your loss is now going to be out there. But as long as it's the whole result,
I'd
it's
rather
the whole
that
result.
people upload me losing every fucking. You know what my biggest secret was? Okay, I'm going to tell you right now that I'm retired until MK11. You know, one of my biggest things I've ever done, especially in MK9, was go on and bitch about how I was so constantly disrespected, right? Remember that? You know, I'm not bad because the more I say I wasn't bad, what are people going to say, right? That I'm bad, right? You know how many wins I got because people actually thought I was bad until like they played me and they were like, "Fuck, I can't lose to Tom."
Oh, you downplay yourself in public. I used to do that
all the time. Every chance I got, I was like,
So dumb, dude. They get up there like, "Fuck, I can't lose."
Dude, that's what
so
the
shit.
mind game.
He's so shit. I can't lose to him. Fuck. And they start choking.
Look, Forever King, right? You know why I was able to beat him in that one tournament that he beat me 100-0? Because he beat me 100-0. Everyone was laughing about me losing 100-0.
In casuals.
Then he finds himself at the score 1-1 in the last round, and it's like, I can't lose to Tom. I can't lose to Tom. Right? It's just, who cares who puts videos up? Who cares? It shouldn't be a big deal. That's more flattering.
I'm not gonna lie. I used to hate that. I used to hate when people, dude. I used to hate when people would cherry pick me and put wins up on the screen. But nowadays, I just don't care.
Guys are giving
if you play online nowadays, no, because the
publicity.
future of gaming is literally everything gets recorded. You could play a rank match.
Right.
You could be in training mode. You could be doing multiverse. They'll upload you losing to the AI. Like it just happens.
Dude.
Right.
I
But
looked
I don't
up. Yo, he has Katana Prime over here. Uploaded Cryptic Goku.
Good. Who cares? KP don't give a shit. KP don't care.
But yeah, that was like my view on the whole thing. Like
It's
if you-
irritating
like,
for sure.
The summary, in my opinion, is this is going back to like the whole Ninja. I think he's amazing. I think he's the best MK player now, currently, free. No.
Yeah, I think he's
contest,
the
no
best right
bullshit,
now. Also,
now, like, will he be good in MK11? We'll see. Maybe he'll make a name for himself. Who knows? He's already starting right now. I mean,
We'll see.
it's not really that complicated. Like, I don't know why. There was this huge debate about this and that.
all I know,
It is what it
it's gonna
is.
be hype as shit watching Destroy's tournament to see if he loses. Because I know a lot of
Nah,
people
I
are gonna be
doubt
watching to see him lose.
Bro, he was mopping nobody even came.
No, I know, but I'm saying like just the whole factor of like, yo, who's gonna beat NinjaKiller is gonna be there, which is gonna bring in more people.
Yeah.
Because it's like a little story right now, It's like fun.
And I think it's really good, and I'm happy that this is happening because we always talk about, especially like what I've been saying for the longest time that placing just isn't enough to really like get a sponsor, make a name for yourself. It's just not enough. And NinjaKiller is already creating a fan base. I guarantee you he's going to have so much hype riding around him going into MK11. And I think that's awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's an
Yeah,
awesome
Mustard
thing to
said,
see that
yo.
someone's building a fan base right now for the next game. That's perfect.
Wait,
Mhm.
Mustard, can you get on? Shit, he said he's a lot to say. He said I personally really dislike Necros, and
Yeah, I want to hear
It's
Mustard's
a
opinion on
fucking
this.
Come on,
attitude.
Mustard.
Wow.
Yeah, if he wants to
But-
come on, I mean, might as well. I don't know how long, Rio,
know.
how long do we want the podcast to go on?
I'm just.
Oh, he said he's down.
Well, I do have to go at 3, so right now it's 2. I can stream for another 50 minutes
These
max.
bums on a
Yeah,
GR1.
Mustard, get in here. He said give him a Discord link. But yeah, that's what I say. Like whenever people ask
Yeah,
me
I
like, do you
mean-
think he's good? I'm like, I think he's amazing. Like they're like, yeah, I think he's gonna mop at MK11. I'm like, I don't know. We don't even know how the game's gonna fucking play. But if there's no run, but who knows? Like who knows what's gonna happen? But I think if he applies himself, he'll be good. I'm just not gonna come out and dick ride and be like, yeah, he's gonna be a top player or he's not gonna be. We'll see. But currently, I mean, he's the best in this game. Free. He's doing shit with Liu Kang that I didn't even know you could do because he's been playing so long. Putting
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that. Yeah.
I didn't know you can combo the fucking instant air in the air like that, like mid screen, where he
Yeah.
did like an anti air. I was like, dude, like I need
He
to
has
take
new
notes.
optimals. Like you could tell, he puts in a lot of work in this game.
All right, so Ketchup is in here, so we're going to let him talk for a few minutes and just let him go on. I know the first thing I'm sure he's going to want to talk about is the term necros, which I agree is a really stupid word, but...
I don't even know where it came from. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, we hear you.
What up, guys?
you doing?
I don't want to hope by like first things first. Sorry, I don't want to seem like I'm barging in by any degree. This is a.
Oh no, you're not, dude. This is actually a really good conversation.
No, I agree. I'm actually really glad to see MK like Mortal Kombat conversation continuing. We all know that Injustice 2 is kind of like it's the current game that everyone's playing, but no one by any means has forgotten about Mortal Kombat. But the big thing is that, which I don't understand, is with this current topic that's going around of players that have stayed with Mortal Kombat the entire time because they enjoy it, they didn't enjoy Injustice 2, so they've stayed with the game they like. That's totally fine. I have no issues with that. I in fact, I super respect that. I just don't know why there is not a continued level of tournament support for it. Especially in North America, where you guys have pretty much a major a month at this point, maybe more than one. And it's so painfully easy to set up a side tournament. If someone wanted a side tournament, bring your setup, try and sync up with some of the other MK guys. You could run a small tournament on 2 setups, depending on how many people are there. And if people want to sort of get this, I guess, notoriety beforehand, before the next Mortal Kombat game, it's so important to make sure that you can try and build that offline with the community and be a real sort of integrated part of the scene before the next game, to show that you really do give a shit about supporting the actual offline scene as well. Because sitting online and getting props, that's totally fine, but it's super important to make sure that you can build yourself offline first. And I generally don't understand why we don't see Mortal Kombat X side tournaments at American events.
I just think it's the money, probably. Because to be honest, I don't mean to sound like a scumbag or a bad player, but if somebody just told me right now, hey, there's gonna be MK, we're doing a reunion, we're getting together at whatever tournament, and there's no money, I'm not for me to travel and start doing, I'm like.
But even from a small set, I totally understand. Wait, carry on, Tom.
I'm just confused, man, and this is just confusing to me, man. I don't understand. I like sports. I play a lot of sports, basketball. Of course, Thanksgiving, I go to the Turkey Bowl games every, day before Thanksgiving. You said a question. When I go to these Turkey Bowl games and I ask, why are you guys out here playing? How many of those guys are just going to say they're out here playing because they're playing for money? They want to go to the NFL.
Well, this is the FGC, man. If people are going to be paying like $1,000 to travel and all that, yeah, you may not make the money, but I want to know I can at least try to get that money.
Money aside. This is a big difference between sports and fighting games, because and here's the biggest problem. People actually like to play sports. For some reason, it seems like you guys are fighting game players who don't like to play the fighting game unless you're paid. When you're young and you play Pee-wee football and Pop Warner in high school, especially Pee-wee, when you're that little 5-year-old kid playing Pee-wee football, you're not playing because you want to make some money. You're playing because you love it. That I think right now, a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot, but a good number came into fighting games for one reason: money. And that's the problem. They don't love it.
I came in loving the game, but when I started seeing all the money going into it, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start playing. It's cool to play for passion and all that. That's really good. But nowadays, seeing shit like $50,000, you could possibly do this and this and that. Mm-hmm. I'm not traveling.
But see, you have to understand something. You have to understand. Ultimately, it just seems like our community's biggest. The difference between our community and other fighting game communities are, we don't truly love the games. And I noticed this. I noticed this in a couple of
Street Fighter either. There's a lot of.
I don't like Street Fighter personally.
Yeah, the Street Fighter people despise their game. They just
Rye is saying that Street Fighter players don't like their game, but they're still traveling because of the money and everything.
But the difference is, but there's still the difference is, in my opinion anyway, the biggest difference is those guys are more vocal. I feel like it's in our community. It seems to be okay for people. First of all, one thing I'm against. And I'm against anyone that says, a game is bad, because when you say a game is bad, and you can understand this, Ketchup, you give no information out there. One, to a consumer, you just tell the consumer, I shouldn't buy this, right? So you're not helping there, right? And to the company that makes the game, what can they do with that information, right?
It's better,
bad, right? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, constructive criticism is always
But we don't encourage that. If you try to constructively criticize Injustice or MKX, you're a hater, you're done, you're a scrub, you're stupid. Because everybody wants to protect their money, right? The problem is, it's human nature. You see money, you want to keep it. You want it to stay where it is. You want to protect your investment. But then the money is gone and the game gets a little older. And then we know people start, all these problems that were in MKX back then, I didn't hear about them And now that NinjaKiller is doing what he's doing, you know what I hear?
That's
Oh, well, yeah, we
big.
know it was oppressive.
Yo, we
knew
were
it was.
complaining about pressure way when Tanya came out. We was getting locked down
But
in the
now you
corner,
really
like,
hear it.
infinitely.
But
Can
now
I-
you
We was
really
talking
Come on,
hear it.
Tom.
about
You're-
block breakers.
We were
really
always complaining about fresh
We were
down and
complaining
pressure.
about armor moves. Like, we definitely were complaining in this game, just like Injustice 2. I'm pretty sure NRS knows that a lot of us don't like that game. Like, we make it very vocal. But you know what they do? I guess because they're tired of hearing it. If you mention a fault of Injustice 2, here comes Paulo. He's gonna troll you, and it's
Yeah,
your
I
execution
don't mind
or it's
that. I'm
this
just
or that.
saying,
Or,
but
you know, like
What
just
faults
feel
are you
like-
guys bringing up about Injustice 2? The game is
the fucking
phenomenal.
shitty inputs, dude. Like that's
Oh
one of
well,
the main things
yeah,
I'm
that's
talking
probably
about.
the
we were
main
complaining about that all the way back in MK9, and we were told to
And
be.
it never got fixed. Like bad anti-airs,
You remember that?
crazy jump-ins. Like
Bad
what are you
anti-air?
talking
Yeah, you get random moves.
Right, were you watching that match where Forever King did 20 consecutive jump twos on Buffalo? Blocked.
Bro, Numpcakes tries to do that to me now.
We were in the chat going like, dude, what? I mean, I think ultimately there's just a few things that stop people from truly loving the game. At the end of the day, Street Fighter has, but thing is, they still grow, and we don't.
because they have no choice, man.
I disagree with that.
Let me ask you this.
We have been growing since 2012, just not at the
Yeah,
pace
there
that
are
we
a lot.
wanted to.
This game was just a step back, though. Like,
I mean, go back and look at MK9 and Injustice 1's numbers. And
If we were to hold a tournament, if we were to announce a big tournament right now, not counting Injustice 2, MK9, Injustice 1, MKX, right? And say, we're going to have one of these tournaments, right? And we put votes up. What do you think the majority of the NRS fans would vote?
Wait. Repeat that question for me, please. Because
If they say we're going to hold a tournament for a random game, MK9, but they're going to guarantee like, hey, the guys that you remember from those games are going to be there playing it, right? So just for the viewership wise, right? So they say MK9, Injustice 1, MKX.
I think MKX.
Right?
A lot of us don't
MKX.
know MK9 players.
I
Like, joined
actually
this
think MKX would be the one that would win that poll.
Absolutely,
Injustice,
MKX.
definitely win.
Over Injustice, right? Yes.
Right.
Injustice 1. How about Injustice 2?
Because one, Mortal Kombat is much like Street Fighter, right? The difference between Injustice and Mortal Kombat is much like the difference between Street Fighter and another game.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat has a lot more leeway because people love. The bottom line is America was founded on Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. Kids go to bed on scorpion sheets and Chun-Li pillows, and that's the truth. They are the two biggest names in the history of the American gaming subculture, correct?
Yeah.
And fighting games, right? They are by far. And the thing is,
They are.
people love Mortal Kombat. There are things that people are willing to overlook in Mortal Kombat that because they love Mortal Kombat. But you put those things, same thing in Injustice, and we are no longer willing to overlook them. See what I'm
A
saying?
big part of
Because-
it is because Injustice has no legacy, right? That's the big thing is that Injustice 2
And
is
isn't that so
It's new.
weird? Like
Injustice
is a new game.
somebody once told me, well, Dragon Ball has no legacy. But somebody once told me, but everybody loves Dragon Ball. Let me
Okay, whoever told you that
hold
Dragon
on.
Ball doesn't have a
Dragon
legacy
Ball?
is fucking
God.
ridiculous.
Bro, no.
I mean, like,
Dragon,
it's-
whoever said
oh.
that, yeah, no.
No,
'Cause
I'm saying
Dragon Ball
Dragon Ball
is.
does. Dragon Ball has the legacy. Let me ask you this: what's Dragon Ball's legacy? Dragon Ball Z and all the anime and cartoons. all that
Yeah.
stuff,
Dragon Ball,
right?
Dragon Ball
Yeah, we
Down,
love that.
the
We love that.
manga.
Yeah, because I agree with you 100%. Dragon Ball has so much
And
legacy.
the fighting
Superman,
games
what
that aren't-
legacy is
that
there?
don't know anything
Superman.
about Dragon Ball.
Yeah, Superman. He got no
Budokai,
legacy.
my dude.
Superman's
Yeah, but the
Superman's
thing-
got no
Who
legacy.
the fuck is Superman?
But
Superman's.
the thing is,
Don't get me
But the
started on
thing is,
Superman.
Superman has a legacy, but this franchise that he's in is new. Like Injustice, like when did it?
This
when did Injustice
franchise,
start?
Dragon Ball's
or
in
whatever.
2013.
Injustice, the
Yeah,
game itself. Injustice.
Tom does have a point here.
Like it's still new. Like who cares about
This
it? Like
Dragon
yes,
Ball
we know
franchise isn't
Superman's
new?
good, but who cares about the game itself?
But this Dragon Ball franchise is new.
It's that,
Dude.
to be fair, technically there is a difference there because before Dragon Ball Fighters, we had Budokai, we had Tenkaichi, we had Xenoverse, all
Yeah.
games that are technically
Dude,
fighting games in different
we did,
varieties
we
that are
did.
within the
Going
same
back
kind
to
of
the
beast.
was it Super Nintendo when they had Dragon Ball games?
Yeah, Justice
they
League
did.
Tag Force, man. Justice League Tag.
So when
the
did we get
creative-
Injustice?
Jesus.
When did we
That
get
was
Injustice?
good. Stop, dude.
We got Injustice in like 2013, so you can't really like. Yes, there's iconic characters, but nobody like this game itself.
Yeah,
the
it's like
game is-
Dragon Ball fighting games have existed since Super Nintendo.
But I mean, much
and
like,
Injustice has existed since 2013, right? That's
but
the
we
big
see
thing.
this all the time in series. Look at the three major. I don't want to. Yeah, Namco Bandai. So say Namco, Capcom, NetherRealm. Capcom's flagship game is what? Fighting game
Damn.
wise.
Oh, yeah.
What
Oh,
is
Street Fighter, of course.
You mean fighting
Your fighting game. Its flagship fighting game is what?
Street Fighter.
Namco's flagship fighting game is what?
Tekken.
Tekken.
Guilty Gear. Oh,
and
I'm sorry, not
and
This fool said
NetherRealm's
Guilty.
flagship fighting game is what?
Mortal
MK.
Kombat.
Mortal
We
Kombat.
all know that.
Okay, let's look at this right now. Tekken, we all know Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur was in danger of not even being made again, right? For some reason, there are some elements that exist in Tekken and Soul Calibur, but people are more willing to overlook those elements in Tekken and less willing to overlook those elements in Soul Calibur. In Street Fighter, there are elements that people like. They're more willing to overlook some of those elements in Street Fighter, although they do not like them, than they are in other games in the Capcom genre. And just like with NetherRealm, there are things that people are willing to overlook with Mortal Kombat that they are not willing to overlook with Injustice. Here's the funny thing. Why don't we stop overlooking that in Mortal Kombat and say, hey, Paulo, can you get this out here too?
We've done
That would probably
though.
help.
I'm pretty sure
Yo,
that happened though. Like the thing
Everyone
is
has
about
talked about them needing to do something with the run button, them needing to
The
make one bar
interactables
block.
have got to go. That's
Yeah,
a,
please.
to me, that's a
We
huge problem.
mentioned interactables.
That's a
from,
bigger
like,
problem to
the-
me. Well, that's a big
Yes.
problem to me because one of the cool things about Injustice, like to really have a community, look, we all know everybody says, "Oh, something's too scrubby," but we all know you can't have.
Sorry, that
we-
NinjaKiller thing was fucking
Yeah.
disgusting. That was
I
so
seen
that
sick.
just now.
We all know.
Bullshit.
We all know you can't have a community only catering to 1%, right? You got to cater to a lot of people. Everybody has to have fun to have a real community, right? So the whole thing is when you look at those guys. One of the cool things about Injustice, when you first pick out Injustice, is how one of the things that's separated from other fighting games is how the game really came to life. One of the cool things about it is how over the top their heroes and villains are. I love
The whole interactables were also unique.
the interactables were very unique. It's cool. The game literally comes to life. I don't want people anti the Joker. It's the fucking Joker. He gives no fucks, and I want him to play like he gives no fucks.
I hate that. No.
Dog,
No.
come on, man. You want
I
fundamentals?
can't do a
No.
shitty jump with ridiculous.
No, man.
Jump. I'm so
I
tired
love
of
how
that.
the heroes and villains come to life. The stage comes to life. The game comes to life. That is awesome. That's
But it's-
awesome.
Like you
But
can
you
take
know
really
what?
awesome ideas, but you
It's
can
not
put balance things
awesome.
around it.
But
Yeah,
it's
you
not
can
awesome.
put balance around them. You don't have to say because Robin uses a sword, he should jump at you with a no fucking hurt box on his
I'm
sword
not in
because it's Robin.
disagreement with
Like,
that.
make
I'm
it
not
make
in
sense.
disagreement with that. I'm not in disagreement with that. What I'm in disagreement is it's not cool if you recycle the exact same features for 3 games. Then it no longer becomes an Injustice feature. It becomes, well, every NRS game, interactables. You've seen one, you've seen them all. I don't like that.
I don't know why they put him in MKX.
So
To be fair, I kind of understand why they would in Mortal Kombat because it's an interesting mechanic that I think people enjoy. I definitely don't think interactables were anywhere near as bad in
No, they're not even.
MKX. But a big part of that is because the sort of the general fundamentals of the game is using a bar on interactable to escape a corner is the same as using a wake up attack and stuff like
but
that.
they were
Whereas
too strong.
Injustice,
They were too strong in MKX.
They were
Yeah,
because of
For the nature of
ability
the
to
game,
use a
because the
bar.
game is not made like Injustice. See,
Tom, can I ask you a question?
yeah.
So you were talking about Joker, like, you like seeing him crazy because he's jumping and all that. So, and I'm just asking a question. I'm not trying to, argue, but when you see a character like Adam, do you think that because he's the Atom, going under everything is cool and just low profile and every single move and that's
I have two
mean-
views. As a fighting game player, it's disgusting. As a fan of just comics and games, it's awesome.
Okay, that was a perfect answer.
So
Okay,
as a competitor, it's terrible.
yeah, I got you. Because that's fucking stupid.
Dude, to be honest with
It's
you,
really dumb.
everyone who hated Superman's forward to it in Injustice 1, that was my fault. It used to be low profile. Then I was like, man, this is stupid. So I complained about it every day.
But I will say, my opinion on that is when it comes to someone like Atom, sometimes design choices remain on the drawing board for a reason. I think there is a reason someone like Atom has never been in a fighting game before, because when you list what Atom will do, and this is one of the things where I totally respect that NetherRealm aren't afraid to take those steps and do what has never been done before, but with someone like Atom, you list what this character is designed to do because by the law he's this small little guy, but
Right.
then at some point someone has to go, okay, well, let's list all the things that we want this character to do.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fun to fight?
Right.
And if the answer is no, that needs to stay on the drawing board, because fundamentally, if it's not fun to play against, it probably shouldn't be in the game. If we take a character like Atom, who, you literally can't hit this character. He is built around moves that low profile, things that normally shouldn't be low profiled. It doesn't matter if you're minus because you can mash down 3, shrink, go into everything.
And he counter
That
zone.
is not fun to play. It's not fun to watch. All around, it is just not a good thing in the game.
And I'm glad you bring that up because
I agree with
hold
that.
on.
It's
I
just because
actually- I have a question. I have a question for Ketchup. And
Oh, yeah, sure, man.
This brings up the point that you just made. Making characters that are fun to play against. Do you think that's why Injustice 2 has lower numbers?
I think it's a mixture of things. I think it's like the general pace of the big thing that all of the biggest fighting games in the world, for the most part, have in common is their speed and their pace. Tekken is really fast and exciting. Dragon Ball's fast and exciting. Street Fighter at this point now has a lot of like crazy stuff that happens because of V-Trigger, etc., etc. Soul Calibur super fast. All the biggest fighting games in the world are really fast and exciting, and MKX fit that category as well. So when you take a game like Injustice 2, which in its own right is a thought out game, and obviously it was not rushed and it wasn't lazily made. You can look at the game and tell there's a lot of polish in it, but I think it's the fact that it is naturally a lot slower. And then it's small things like the screen is zoomed out a lot. The characters are pretty small. There's a lot of screen space to have to make up for when you're trying to get in on zoning characters who
a lot
just
of
so happen to be really
walking.
yeah, like zoning characters were really strong, and they were strong in Injustice 1, but characters had a bit more answers back in Injustice 1 because you had the top tier characters all, if they didn't zone themselves, had really good answers for zoning. So it kind of naturally was a bit faster. I really do think the fact that it's just Injustice 2 is slower than every other game, that automatically makes it a niche. Like if you like fast, exciting games, you can watch everything, but you can't watch Injustice. Like the second you like fast games, you can watch everything but Injustice because that's the one game that isn't.
And I feel like when I watch NinjaKiller, he's doing like combos that I didn't even know were possible. But when you play something like Injustice, you know what's gonna happen. You do your starter, you go into 4-3 or back 3, you do your ender. Like it's all just so linear to me. I don't know.
Well,
I have something to say here.
You can just before we were quick. The big thing about MKX as well is you can tell. I can tell when Sonic Fox is playing Jason. I can tell when NinjaKiller is playing Liu Kang. I could tell when Foxy was playing Melina or Kung Lao. Like, and Injustice 2, it seems kind of difficult to differentiate. Apart from a couple of examples, it's kind of hard to tell what player is playing what character.
Let me give you an example now.
Wait, hold on. I have one thing to say. I have one thing to say. I know a lot of people take shots in Injustice 2 because the combo system seems very repetitive. Like you see a lot of characters start and do things kind of transition the same way. But then I look at DBZ Fighters and I see I don't play the game, but I see a lot of similar combo patterns in that. But I never see anybody make that argument for that game.
Because it's fast and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, and
you have to add all factors in.
It's visually different. Like Ketchup brought up, more Injustice has smaller characters. The colors aren't as bright or vibrant. It's just visually. Just how things look to your eye can affect your opinion, despite even if they're similar.
And a lot of the combo routes, they just choose to do it because it's the most optimal. Like I've seen so many different touch of deaths from the same teams and things like that. But this game, when you get touch, it's gonna be 4-3 or back 3, and it's just the same shit. So everyone plays.
No, I was just curious because in DBZ I see a lot of characters do like a string into the jump pop up into the heavy launch, and then they knock you back to the ground, and they do like a super or something.
It's because you got a lot of creativity in Dragon Ball. Like the combos are universal, but a lot of the setups and the reads and the micro decisions you make are not.
I have a question for Ketchup, and I've only seen this in Mortal Kombat X and I guess Injustice 1, but Injustice 1 wasn't main screen like these current games are today, right? The internet obviously is growing, technology is growing, people's access is growing. So MKX and Injustice 2. These are the only two games in which I have seen in which, for example, so Mortal Kombat X has this variation system, right? You kind of sell this variation system to people, and you say, well, it's a cool idea, right? Because the idea was, what we're going to do is, we understand counterpicking is becoming more and more of a thing in fighting games, right? And the appeal was, I mean, if you're a casual, not to a pro fighting game player, because we know you do whatever you want to win, but to a casual, it may seem unfair that one guy can pick his one character and you've got to play 5, right? It's like, well, why do I have to put time into 5 characters? You see what I'm saying? So it's like, well, we have this cool variation system, right? And your opponent has to plan for all but what did we really see? What we saw was you have characters like Takeda, who all 3 variations could be used as counters or standalone to be top. We had Shinnok, where you could alternate between 1 or 2, even though 1 or 2
all
or
3
3,
of his were good.
right? All 3 of his, but he could stand alone, but sometimes he had to alternate.
Yep.
And then we have characters where if you beat one variation, the way that one variation loses, they all 3 lose the same way. See what I'm saying? So it's like
Sub. Doesn't Sub have like one good variation? Where's the other
Sub
two
has
he
one variation where the reason why that variation loses, for example, is the same reason why the other 2 lose. So by switching to them, you don't gain anything because they're all losing the same way. But a few characters suffered from that. It wasn't just a Sub-Zero thing, you know.
Yeah,
several characters. Exactly. So it's kind of like, so you have this variation system that would have been, that seemed like a great idea, but it's kind of like Ketchup said, you have to look at concept and say, what do you think would be fun, but doesn't actually translate to fun?
Yeah, but I think that honestly, I mean, we've already discussed this in a previous podcast, but I want to bring it up again that I think the variation system was really good. I think 3 variations per character is too much. I think it'd be much easier to balance and be more creative with 2 variations per character.
Yeah,
I think you'd be able to see both those variations in tournament play a little bit more than we saw with MKX, how it was mainly just 1 variation. Really, the only complete characters where every variation was extremely useful. Takeda was one, for sure. I think Takeda, every single variation was definitely tournament viable. To a point, Kung Lao.
Yeah, it was Quan Chi as well before Warlock was nerfed out of the game because of the armor change.
Which actually is another good point to bring up, is that variation systems are hard to balance throughout the entirety of the game because naturally there are going to be changes to the game.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to take a step back. They, being NRS, needs to take a step back and think about if they're going to bring the variation system back in, you know, if the next game is Mortal Kombat, we still don't know.
But I mean, what I hated, here's what I disliked. Me personally, what I disliked about Mortal Kombat X and even Injustice 2. I'm a fan of bad matchups. Everything's you're not always gonna be under optimal conditions. That's one of the fun things about being a competitor. If it was always easy, it wouldn't be very fun. But I love, like, you know, it's one of the most fun things that I've ever had as a competitor is you lose in tournament. Like take Big D, right? And CEO. And I'm on the plane ride home and I'm like, here's what I got to come up with so I can pin this fucker down, and he can't do it. And the cool thing was coming up with that and game playing and all the ideas and stuff, right?
Fuck yeah, that also I'm just watching.
That was just awesome, right? Yeah. I lost, but it's just cool trying to come up with like going to 2 years into the game, right? 2 years into the game, and you're going into like your mind, like what you can come up with, right? It's harder, but it's fun because it's hard. The thing that I hated about MKX was losing, and as I'm on the plane home going, my only option is to pick another character. There is no option that I have.
I actually wonder, Tom, this is a super appropriate question, actually, seeing as you're one of like the old school guys. Back in the and actually, sorry, Rio too, while you're here. So the main thing I would always compare the variation system of MKX to would be the fact that you could change fighting styles in the 3D Mortal Kombat. So Deadly Alliance and Deception when you had 3 because you had 2 stances and a weapon, then Armageddon when you had a weapon and a regular. In the higher level of the old games before Armageddon, when you had 3, technically it was 3 styles per character because it was 2 regular and then a weapon stance. Was the general thing for the characters, like, was it a consistent thing that one of the characters' 2 stances was trash and not worth using and you would only use 1 stance? Or would you alternate at a high level? Or would some of it literally never get used? Because I would almost like equate that to MKX. Like, was it the same thing back then?
I don't know about Armageddon.
It was actually more common to have 1 stance that had all you needed than using another one.
Yeah.
See, Deadly Alliance.
But occasionally there were some characters that were like, okay, I'm gonna use this stance to play my general game, but I need a good low, so sometimes I'll switch into stance and just sneak that in there.
Yeah.
There were a couple characters like that.
MK Deadly Alliance was.
But for the most part, yeah, no, you're right. It was 1 stance that was what you needed, and it was their best stance.
Cool.
Like Scorpion example from MKDA, all you needed was Pigwa.
Yeah, and MKDA.
You didn't need to use his other shit.
Pigwa.
With Reptile, all you needed was Crab. Like there was a lot of characters
they
like
just
that.
need the balance better than that's.
Well, it's different. Some of that game was like Scorpion's Pigwa was just whatever. Then you had Boraicho with Drunken Fist. It was probably the best stance in the game, but it was so slow you could make it. So
you have to use other stance to get in.
And then you have like some of the more balanced, like Reptile was extremely linear in his because he couldn't use. Well, he was number 3. His main stance couldn't universal track, so you would have to use his first stance just to maybe get that quick hit, get that advantage, and then go to his second. Characters like Shang. Very rarely did I ever remember a character that used all 3. Usually just 2. Like there was not one single character that could make use of both stance and the weapon. Either stance 2 or stance 1 was good, or 1 and 2, or 2 and 1. But there was no, and you would ideally fight in one stance to where you can quickly transition to the next one. You know what I mean? So I can't remember an instance in which all 3 were good at all. Generally, most characters could have 2 that were usable, but there were some that would have 1. But I can't remember one that would have. So very similar, I guess, to your point. It's like in all those games where you have 3 options, there's going to be default, a best one.
Yeah,
or
if
2.
you ran into a bad matchup in that game, you couldn't be like, okay, maybe the stance will help me. It was just you were kind of fucked.
That's how I thought variations were going to be in this game, where you'd like switch the stance button and in mid like whatever you'd have like a different like set of like
Jeez,
movements.
Like you,
bro,
like
that'd
yeah,
be
like
so
like like you
great.
switch from summoner to sorcerer by doing like a stance switch.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of sick, actually.
Or
Yeah.
That
between
would be
like
fucking
changing
hilarious.
changing between rounds potentially would be interesting too.
But those characters, the biggest difference is what made the game fun. Look, I'm not a big MK9 praiser. I will be the first to tell you I complained about everything in MK9, and MK9 to me has a ton of problems. And NetherRealm has done a great job going forward. But what made it, and I think some of the guys that played it back then made it more fun, even though all the problems we dealt with and other games that I played in my life there's a big difference in saying this is going to be really hard and you have eliminated my character from the select screen by default. That is a problem. Alien, okay, I don't want to be a Sub-Zero guy, but since I played Sub-Zero, somebody will say, well, you didn't play that character, so you don't know. Alien, Takeda, etc. Characters that eliminated me from the select screen, that destroyed my primary tool. Foxy Grandpa used to always say to me, "Oh, my number 1 tool." No, I don't. I'm a parable. He would say, "Here's my plan against Sub-Zero." I was like, "What is it, Foxy?" He's like, "Destroy what makes him Sub-Zero and make him beat me as a regular blue character." Interesting, Foxy. I want you to beat me when you do have to deal with what makes me Sub-Zero. Can you do that? Well, I don't have to. My goal is to find a way. And that's the difference in different games. Some games you have the advantage, but you can't. Myself and Rio are both here. Cabal versus Sub-Zero. Cabal destroys Sub-Zero in every way, shape, or form. Right, Rio?
Yeah, it was a really bad match.
But he doesn't eliminate what makes me me. See what I'm saying?
But to be
So-
fair, this is the one difference about
doesn't have
variations
matchups
is
like
that
that either.
I'm glad that to be fair, I am glad that
Look at
Grandmaster
Evo.
was not a one variation character, because if Grandmaster beat every character in the game, if Grandmaster was allowed to do Grandmaster to every character in the game, it would be insane.
But
It would be
Grandmaster was
ridiculous.
mindless. There are times, remember the time Rio I beat Jupiter like 40-5, right? And
Yeah, I remember that.
you know what, Ketchup? I did not play him a single game, nor did I think. Half of that time I was daydreaming. Half of that time I was daydreaming. And that's
Yeah,
not,
because there are matchups
it's not
like
even enjoyable
Cyrex
to
Grandmaster is
win.
terrible for the same reason.
It's not even enjoyable to have success with. And that's the whole point. Fun to play against or fun to play as. Even when I was winning, I wasn't having fun. And
Injustice doesn't have.
I
Nobody's ever like invalidated on.
I think they were back in the day, though. They were back in the day. Like it took
old
patches to fix that.
Firestorm, the original. I mean, I don't know. Out of Firestorm,
I mean,
Aquaman,
Firestorm is
maybe.
just absolutely broken, and for some reason they think it's funny. Like when we've clipped him doing his vortex. I think that's absolutely broken. Like,
Dude, we saw this
vortex.
setup. Oh my god, we saw the setup actually at the Intercontinental Championship.
Yes.
K-Top showed us this thing with Firestorm where I don't even know what it is. You do a certain move, and when you do a certain move on hit, and this is like an evolution of the vortex that no one even does at the moment, which he showed us. Where if you forward dash right as they do their walk back animation, Firestorm literally goes inside their hitbox and will appear on the left or right, and you
And they
can't
think
see.
Wow, so it's like Backrow from Injustice 1, the
He
Bola
goes
setup.
inside you, and you don't even know. Like, I don't even know why he's never made a video for it. It's so disgustingly good.
Yeah.
Rio, can you do me a favor? Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys wanted to see. I was gonna say just pull up the last chance qualifier top 8. Burrito Voorhees used Swamp Thing versus Combat's Firestorm.
Oh yeah,
Dude, he
I know what
had
you're
him
talking
a
about.
full life bar down. He touched him one time with blue trait and he killed. Like why? And we've complained about that. We've sent them gifs of it, videos. We've complained. And Paulo just hops in the chat.
It's
And he's
by
like, "Yes,
design,
to
isn't
block
it?
it."
But
That's
the
a
one
fucking
thing is
horrible
that it's
design.
by design. It is by
Yeah.
whether it's a agreeable design for a lot of people. It is the design. Like
Yeah, and
Firestorm
that's the
is
problem, I
designed
think,
to be a
though.
Vortex character. Like that, he is working as intended technically.
Yeah,
Then he
that's
has
fine.
pressure. Then he has zoning. Oh, the name of the video, Rio. Type in. Well, are you looking for the video I told you? Because if you are, it's
Yeah.
last
I'm
chance
asking you.
qualifier top 8.
It's
It's
just
the
called
last chance
that.
qualifier top 8.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
you can type
this
that
is
in.
completely off topic, but
But
I'm watching NinjaKiller play right now, and this is obviously like the most insane. A lot of this is the most insane loose stuff I've seen conversion wise.
crazy.
Yeah, it's super entertaining.
So I've got a couple of questions. Where does NinjaKiller come from in America? Where is he from?
I think he's
no
from
idea.
California, like on the West Coast.
Yeah, I
So
know.
I believe he's from
why
there.
has he never traveled to a single tournament?
I don't. Yo, look. Let me tell you something. Look.
I think he's
look,
really young.
We used to play. Well, I played him like once, but like he used to come into my stream sometime, and I used to see him and hear about him since like 2006. I used to be like, "Yo, play," and never really came out. Like even when where the combat cup thing happened, I was like, "Yo, I think you're really good. I think you should really play." And he was like, "Yeah, I might," and he just never played. I don't know. Maybe he's just like a casual god. Maybe he don't like the pressure of competing. I don't know.
Maybe, but there's a couple of complications that come with that. That like even if this because this is fucking ridiculous. I've never sat down and watched NinjaKiller play a long set before. And the fact that he is, quite like, I think I'm stating the obvious here, beating the shit out of Sonic Fox does obviously have a lot of weight. But it's the fact that it's so strange to me that we have never seen him ever. Like, why was this guy not a combo breaker? Like he would become a superstar in one tournament if he went to an offline event. Even now,
dude,
like if there was an Evo side tournament, if like let's say there was an Evo side tournament for this game, which to be fair, Jake and I actually were talking to each other. We seriously regret not because apparently it's really easy to get a side tournament organized for Evo. I super regret not doing one.
the YMC room,
Yeah, we should have done one in
here's what
hindsight.
I want
We could have
someone
got
to
some
do.
Rio,
stage
did you
time.
find that video?
Like
I
he
want
could
Rio
have turned
Yeah,
up.
I'm looking for it right now.
I want Rio to take the NinjaKiller video, and I want this. Rio, I want you to know you did your Devora video. I want you to count the times NinjaKiller's actually minus. We'll count it up.
Wait. The thing is, he's minus a
You want me to add the plus
and
frames
that's
on the
the
video?
problem. Yes.
Well, no, well, here's the thing. Also,
It must be
NinjaKiller,
nice
he's
to
playing.
put everybody. You literally just said, "I'm so glad Grandmaster could do that to everybody," but Luke Kane puts everybody at minus.
No, look, no. A lot of the
But
stuff he's doing, and I'm gonna like.
Yeah, he's
'cause
doing like
I
full
use-
dashes because he just
does
has
a lot
Sonic
of
Fox
things,
conditions. So crazy.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
understand
there's a
that.
lot
You
of
can.
things.
I understand that
Like a
concept. You
lot.
condition someone to do one thing. My whole point is that's what he meant by the oppressive offense. Whatever. And
dude, he has good neutral too, though.
that again, good neutral. You can have great neutral in tennis, but I don't care about that. I don't care.
He's got one of the best armor moves too. That did just get buffed last match.
I'll never see your neutral if Lord Paulo gives me a shot where I can hit it over the fence and it be points. That's the problem. The neutral is irrelevant. It's too. What I've noticed about that game, and I don't understand what the answer is, but I just think offense is too easy to initiate. Not that it's powerful once it's initiated. It's too easy to initiate, and then once it is initiated, it's really powerful.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
I will always say this about Liu Kang. I used to say this when I played him. His fly kick was scrubby as shit. Like you can literally play neutral, just fly kick EX. You're already in there blocking.
I mean, I do have a history.
That move is like Doomsday's
been
EX
doing
shoulder
that.
from Injustice 1.
Yeah, dude.
It's similar to that.
I've got this fucking history lesson of Mortal Kombat X. Like I will never forget, and I still believe it to this day. Back in season 2 of MKX, Zarakamaka was able to work his work schedule around so he could finally enter Pro League because he had a disgustingly good
I remember
even
this.
back then.
He had
And
insane execution also.
Through playing all of the EU guys, a lot of people's opinion in Europe was that Liu Kang was top tier. Like for real, because a lot of what NinjaKiller is doing right now, like bar a few crazy internet conversions, a lot of this pressure is what Zarakamaka was doing in pre-patch netcode. That's the thing. So I remember back then, Zarakamaka was doing all of this. He was doing all of this to people. And the main thing people were saying was, yeah, well, it's only online. You guys, it's like, you don't know the matchup. It's online only. We'll see what happens at the finals. And then when the finals happens, the one thing Zarakamaka has always done historically is he's terrible in offline tournament, because he gets horrendous nerves. And when you play, who is basically, one of the absolute most execution heavy characters of the game, he was most execution heavy back then before Cyrax. And then when the finals happened, he just choked massively under the nerves and was dropping all of his combos.
Well, here's what I look
he
at
thought the monitors were laggy and stuff. And then basically when Zarakamaka didn't do as well as he normally does because he was nervous, not because Liu Kang was weak, the number one opinion was, hey, look, see, I told you Liu Kang was no good. I told you Liu Kang was
Yeah.
overrated
Mhm.
because
That
it was
obvious.
nerves
That was
that
obvious.
cost.
See, my
it. Do you know
opinion
what I
was
mean?
well, you know what happened? You know what makes you nervous when you play on the old netcode, and finally, for the first time in your life, everybody else gets to move at full speed too. It makes you
Yep.
kind of nervous. You know, that was his problem. He was like, "Wait a minute, they can move too. This is not fair."
Yeah,
And that's what
no,
happened. with Nothing
yeah,
Matter. It's
yeah. The offense.
his,
This is definitely.
the clock in his head sped up because his opponents were sped up. That was the problem. It sped up the clock in his head, which can be a nerve.
Yeah,
thing.
no. Nerves are definitely a thing of a tournament, though, because
Absolutely.
offline you have to deal with nerves, and if you can't handle nerves, your execution could suffer
But
because
that's
of
what I'm
that.
saying. People take individual performances and equate it to the character as opposed to maybe it was his nerve. Maybe
Oh yeah.
Yo,
I see all the time,
let
like a
me give
character
you a
loses
good
tournament, people say the
example.
character's whack.
Yo, let me give you a really good example recently. When I was streaming, right, Combat, Emperor Combat, he would come into my chat. We always
Mhm.
talking, and I'm like, yo, make sure you practice, get offline, because this is his first offline tournament. I'm like, make sure you practice get there early and practice so you have your execution down. And I'm like, you're gonna be a little bit nervous maybe because it's offline. His friends told me?
I actually saw him drop the round-winning combo, which
Yes,
was a
you know
heartbreaker.
what his friends told me?
I remember seeing
Oh,
that.
when he plays at home, his mom yells at him and his brother or his
I
family. I'm
remember
like,
we
this
talked
has
about
nothing
that.
to do with going
What?
offline. They were really arguing with me. You know what happened? He went
Oh my
offline. Do you know what he told me? Right. I said,
What?
what? Nervous, man. They're yelling behind me. It's messing me up. I can't focus. I'm like, that's how it is, man. He's like, I want to use the headphones. I can't drown them out. The headphones are really low. He was nervous as fuck. I'm like, welcome to offline. Like, I'm glad you're getting this experience.
Yeah, your mom telling you that dinner's ready and don't let it get cold is not the same thing as having like people yelling at you.
Absolutely.
Dude,
God forbid your first offline tournament you play against a Florida player and you get gross behind your ear, it's over.
Yeah, dude. When he played in that top 8 versus Burrito Voorhees, it was so loud. I think you can hear it over the stream. People were
I think so
screaming for
too.
Franco because of Swamp Thing, and like he was just nervous. Like you could see Combat's face when he's playing. That he was really really nervous.
Hey
Yeah,
man,
he
it's
was
really
See,
it's
but
really fucking tilting when you like every time you land hit, and we even had this at Combo Breaker actually when both I was playing and when even when Mustard was playing Dragon Ball. It's like when you're an international invader, quote unquote. Jake was playing Dragon Ball, and this fucking random dude who I don't even know had like 5 of his guys next to him and just me next to Jake. And every time Jake got hit, these 5 random dudes go, yeah, fuck that guy, yeah, fuck him up. And then whenever Jake landed a hit, you would collectively hear them go, oh, like it's the most annoying fucking thing to play.
Well, and that's something I feel really bad for you guys because that is like always, for whatever reason, it's just always going to be a thing. If internationals come
Wait a
over,
minute. Wait a minute.
You just get used to it.
Can I just get something off my chest? We're talking about fighting game stories. My brother Denzel? Can we?
Dude, Tom, you have to tell the story that time you met that person as a girlfriend and he played Sox and they got like they turned into serial killers on the match start. that had me dying.
But so here's a funny story first. Denzel, man, everyone loves Denzel. I love Denzel. A guy's like my brother. The dude babied a blind guy. He picked the same character.
Dude, oh,
as the
never
blind
forget.
guy. The blind guy didn't even know whose character was doing
What a
moves.
fucking
Hey,
asshole.
And then
Oh my
Denzel-
God.
Put some respect
What
on
an
his name.
asshole.
It's Rattlehead, all right?
Okay, and Rattlehead. And then Denzel babied him.
Twice actually. He babied him
twice.
twice.
He plays by sound, but Denzel was playing the same character. He didn't know who's. And Denzel, every time he would put a bomb out, Denzel would put a bomb out at the same time. So he couldn't tell. I'm like, dude, you're literally using anti-sight strategy on this guy. Come on, Denzel was like, gotta do it, man. Gotta do it.
I gotta be honest, I feel like the community kind of swept that under the rug. Like if someone did that in 2018, there would be Kotaku articles up the
But the
arse.
Rio story, my
Get
first
called
ever
all types.
my first ever CEO, I go to my first CEO, and in my pool there was a guy, his girlfriend, and he was like, "Oh man, I'm a huge fan. Thanks for whatever." I was like, "Oh, awesome!" And he's like, "Man, I just hope we get to play. Man, it's awesome being in your pool." Guy was super whatever, right? He got his girlfriend. Then I'm like, I wonder who this guy plays, just a casual. He's playing Cyrex with the bomb cup, right? Just gonna touch me once and like end my life, right? And he grabs me, and his girlfriend's like, kill him, like in my ear. She's in my face, like yelling, right?
Yeah, I'm so done.
And I was like, the whole time, kill him. Right? And then I was like, man, this game is brutal, man. What the hell?
I mean, that is savage. I mean, I remember at Combo Breaker, and like not to talk shit in any way, but the cool kid's wife, she's obviously known for being supportive. But I remember during Mortal Kombat, I think it was MKX's top 8. I remember her being on the other side of the room, and she was screaming so loud. I literally could not hear Mr. Aquaman in my headphones. I had
Oh my
his
God,
voice
really?
in my ear holes, and I couldn't hear what he was saying because she was screaming so loud on the other
mean, like-
side of the room.
Was it
I was
like with his
like,
wife? Wait,
I thought someone was getting, I thought someone was getting
Oh.
fucking murdered, like straight up. I was like, I'm in America, right? Shit can be fucked up sometimes. Is everything all right? And I looked, and I was like, no, it's just-
see, you didn't have to go. You didn't have to say that.
We're in Cabo are like that.
Wow.
Really, really loud.
That hurt.
Yo,
I
wait,
thought
can we
something really
say-
bad had happened. It was really fucked up.
Look,
But you know, that's support, isn't it? It's people supporting each other.
Yeah. I mean,
To
I
be
like
fair,
to
that's
think there's a
fun
certain-
though.
It is.
That's
but
one.
there's
That's
a
one of the
certain
reasons why
line-
offline tournaments are so fun and hype.
Yeah, but there's a certain line you shouldn't be crossing.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. People shouldn't be yelling in your ear and
I
spitting
agree.
on you and
Oh,
shit. You know,
she's
that's
right.
like a little too dramatic.
Her spit was like hitting my face. Like she was like right in my face, like yelling. Like, you know, for him to like kill me, ruin my life. And
Real quick, because I know Rio, you said you have to go soon. I'm already 20 minutes late. Is there any other topics that we want to go over very quickly?
yes, I have one question for Mustard Ketchup. Well, I have Ketchup here. I have one question for you, Ketchup.
What up?
And I want your thought on this. Traditionally in five, we've seen a lot of tier lists in Injustice 2, and this is more so in MKX. See a lot of tier lists that come up, and we, you know, S, A, B, C, etc. Right? I want your thoughts on this because I see this in a lot of. And normally, as I see tiers, A tier is considered a ridiculously solid character, right? Traditionally, A tier characters are like, man, this character is dangerous, even if it's not S or S plus, which is very rare to see an S plus in any game today. This character is capable of winning at any time, any place. Correct? That's what A tier is supposed to mean. Correct?
I mean, just you know, A tier is just capable tier, isn't it?
Very okay, but very strong, right? Very strong.
Yeah, like can compete.
And then we have our games where you pick an A tier character and it's this character is not really good. Pick another character. Can you explain to me your thoughts on games in which characters? Because at the end, I think tier lists should be based on this. A tier list needs to be practical. In other words, what are the characters you're ideally going to see in fighting games, in tournament, right? We all know who those characters are. I don't care how you're going to do against characters you will never face. When the money's on the line and you're trying to place top or win, what are the characters you're going to see? And how do you do against those characters? Is it possible that tier lists are two different things? One, an overall tier list, and two, a more realistic tier list. And in reality, this is not accurate because you're only going to be seeing these characters on your path.
I think it depends on the game though, because in like I definitely don't think Mortal Kombat or NetherRealm in general. It's not the only kind of game where you're going to see like top tier only. I mean, look at Third Strike for example, where
Not about top tier only. But what I mean
there's
is,
almost like a guaranteed chance the top 8 will be full of like you know Chun and Ken, for example.
yeah, no, I don't
because
mean that. What I mean is like a more. What I mean to say is like, but again, I've seen Snake Eyes play Zangief, and he's overcome many a bad situation, right? What I mean is like an MKX version of that would be, well, you play Zangief, but this character can never be thrown. That's his strength. And then you're like, what the fuck am I playing Zangief for? I can't ever throw him. That's what happens. You see my point? Like that'll never happen in Street Fighter games. You
I
know what
remember.
mean? Like,
I'm pretty sure I remember seeing Snake Eyes something interesting, which was it was something like because Zangief versus Sagat was a really really tough match in Street
Very
Fighter
hard.
4. He made sure that of all the matchups he trained Sagat the most because he knows that in tournament, if someone knows how to play Sagat, they're going to use Sagat against Zangief. So he made sure that like if I just make sure that this is the matchup I'm going to play the most in tournament by far. If I just play that matchup better than they do, I have the advantage, regardless of whether the matchup's bad technically. Do you know what I mean? I always find that really interesting. That
exactly.
of all the matchups he trained, that was like the number one he would practice.
Yeah,
Because
and
everyone could play it, and they couldn't play it as well as he could. Someone is in robot mode.
And I guess this goes to your point of fun or not fun. What I'm asking you is, I feel like what makes, and going back to the way our game, I want to close on like, you know, why I feel like our games don't seem to have the excitement as they should going forward with support. I just think that perhaps maybe one or two elements end up going a little too far. And that in the end ends up being, at the end of the day, this was a great idea, but this makes it not fun. Do you think that could be a problem? Like something with Adam. Hey, I'm playing this guy's Adam all day. I'm not having a very good time. There's nothing that's inspiring me to hop on and play. You see what I'm
Fun is
saying?
always the biggest. Like, fun is always like the biggest thing. The reason I miss Mortal Kombat compared to Injustice is because, I just have more fun playing Mortal Kombat. I just enjoy, but that's that. There's a personal bias there that Mortal Kombat's my favorite game ever made. So of course I'm going to prefer that. But if I enjoy a game more, I'd just rather play that, and it's simple. Like I don't hate Injustice 2. I just prefer Mortal Kombat. So if I was a competitive player, I would. If there's a good, and actually, kind of going back to what you were talking about right as I joined, which was about players in NRS playing for money more than love of the game. The one thing about this game compared to, or fighting games in general, compared to playing sports, like real sports, for example, where you might go and maybe you'll go on the football pitch once a week, maybe you'll play basketball with your mates on the court or whatever. The difference with fighting games is because the global community of those that compete in fighting games versus those that play sports, whether it's like semi-pro for like a high school team or whatever, you have a much higher chance and a more realistic opportunity to actually see money playing fighting games because the community is naturally smaller. You compare how many people play real sports to how many people compete in fighting games. Obviously, there's like a massively drastic difference there. But if you're a NetherRealm player and you're good at picking up a new NetherRealm game, and you can pick a game up in its first year really well, where the money's always pretty hefty in the first year, you have such a realistic opportunity to see that money. It almost feels like you just may as well, and that's the big thing, is that that's kind of going back to playing for fun or playing for money. If the same pool of people are playing and one game is going to give you some really good chunk of change and one won't, it kind of almost just makes sense to follow that
path.
Yeah, if you're going to put that time in, it almost feels like it's just more beneficial to do it. The difference is, do you enjoy the game as much? And if the answer is no, then that's where you start to see a problem, because if someone's playing it only for money, it becomes a chore, and that only should be a chore if you are a professional player. If you're sponsored by a team, you're on a salary, you're expected to perform. That's when you kind of need to just suck it up. You've got a really fortunate job that's paying you a hefty amount of money and you can travel the world, so be it. But if you are a player that is only playing for fun, then that's when I think it becomes a little bit more different.
All right.
I can agree with that.
Speaking of NinjaKiller, let's end on a tribute of NinjaKiller. Let's go around. Favorite NRS game and why?
Oh,
in honor of the great NinjaKiller who plays what he loves, man. I'm a huge fan, NinjaKiller. Keep doing what you're doing, brother.
Ultimate MK3, mate. That's the one. That's the biggest for me.
Really?
I love, because it was the very first Mortal Kombat game that I played at a high level back in the day, and it was like the introduction for it, and it's just fun. I can go back and play Mortal Kombat 3 day of the week and have a blast. Like, I love Mortal Kombat 3.
Oh, 3. I love 3. Yeah, you said 3. Yeah, that's
yeah. This is coming from a UK guy that I literally have only ever played Ultimate MK3 with Mustard offline, never anyone else. Because I've never been able to go to an Eastcoast tournament ever. There was one guy, I don't know if anyone remembers, anyone who played Ultimate MK3, and just in case anyone in the chat is watching, anyone in the chat that played Ultimate MK3 on Xbox Live Arcade, there was a British guy called R-Type who played Shang Tsung. I don't know what the fuck happened to him. I've never spoken to him since, not with MK9 or anything, but there was one other UK guy I remember, and I don't know anything about him after that point, but I would love to know what he did after MK3. Because it's so fucking strange how there was one UK guy that played loads of MK3, and I've never met him, and I've never spoken to him since. But yeah, MK3 for life, bro.
I like MK. Actually, I like MK. I had insane fun on it. Like, I didn't know anything about it, no frames, no nothing, and no pressure to compete. I had a lot of fun.
Wait, what was it? You cut out.
Oh no, I said my favorite NRS game was MK9.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just updated. Everything was just new. Like, I really loved it. I didn't know frame data or nothing. I had no expectations. I just went in and was just having fun.
Yeah,
isn't there a video of you fighting against DSP?
Yeah, he was raging. With
Zyphox.
Brady, what's yours?
That's when I stopped playing. But yeah, man.
My favorite NRS game is probably MK9. I would say DC because it really gave us the chance to have what we have, but it was MK9. And here's one reason why it was MK9. Before Mortal Kombat 9, and anyone who knows me in fighting games before that, I was considered the biggest top tier whore in the history of fighting games. I had no skill. I was only carried by the characters I was playing. And that was my reputation for a very long time. But I really loved
Show Infinites.
I really liked Sub-Zero. So like I played Scorpion. I hate Scorpion, but I played him in MK DA, because I wanted to win. But what was really fun about it was just the game planning part. And that's something that I really miss going forward, is being able to, because this is the first time we were able to start playing Mortal Kombat in a more modern tournament scene. Before that, it was just the online with the 3D. So now we're going to a more modern, we're getting stream time on Team Spooky. So that was really, really fun to be able to go to these tournaments that I've always gone to, but actually finally play my favorite game instead of playing another game, because that's all that's available to me at this tournament.
I heard horror stories about 3D MKs online. I heard some real horror stories. That was before my time. I was a casual.
There's some bad
back
ones.
in the day.
But the most fun was going to these tournaments and meeting guys like a Big D, Rio, who I'd known before that, but meeting all these guys in tournament, and being able to finally compete against these guys who I've heard about over the internet, or I've read on forum, and being able to have these face-to-face situations, or guys that I played in the 3D MKs like Newbie, who probably would have crushed my neck if I ever talked trash to him back then. And really, just being able to play my favorite character and whether I win or lose, hard or not, I didn't really care about the matchup. But as much as I am in the tears, the fact that I could actually, and Rio, you were there, and Big D, you were there for part of the time when I actually thought Sub-Zero was top tier. But a character that was so low,
I remember that.
a character that was so low tier, but yet the system, as flawed as it was, gave you so much freedom as an individual that you could, like, every move was useful. What move wasn't useful? In MK9, a lot of moves were useful. And you could literally be on the plane after a loss and the game planning of what I want to do and go home. And even though it had a limited practice mode, which God knows was awful, just the fact that the game itself gave you the freedom to game plan and have that edge over your opponent. While yes, you might be able to pick 1,000 characters, and I have this one, but I will find a way for this one to beat your 1,000. And it was just so much fun to be able to do that. And I really miss that going forward in these games, where it's kind of like, that's not really a possibility so much anymore. It's just all about not so much fun, but money. What do I got to do to win this money? I got to pick 10 characters. And I don't know. That was the last time I was able.
I do have
the last
one
time I was able to
opinion
play a
on
game for just
yeah, sorry
fun.
to cut you off. Sorry, Discord.
No, go ahead.
And all that stuff. The one thing I will say on this matter, though, is if MK9 and Injustice 1 had the money that the modern games do, I do wonder if things would have been different. Because do you guys remember during the Injustice 1 days, where the NetherRealm community, and I mean no disrespect here, the NetherRealm scene was entirely full of people that didn't care about winning a tournament. They just wanted to be the highest placing player of their character. They wanted to leave CEO saying, I was the highest placing Killer Frost, or I was the highest placing Martian Manhunter. They didn't want to necessarily say they won the tournament. There were so many character specialists that played,
I guess, yeah,
who they liked and had a lot of fun. But if Injustice 1 or MK9 had ESL Pro League money, would we have seen that many character specialists? Would we have evolved into the team much earlier?
Maybe
Because,
not.
People face less hard matchups.
I think it would have still been a money rush, because when Theo tells me about the old days, because I wasn't around for that, he's like, yeah, back then we'd get $100 or whatever pop bonus, and people would fly out for that. Compare that to the money that they would get, that we're getting now, if it was put into MK. It definitely would have been more about money than passion. I think it was more about passion, because there was no money.
But that was why it was. I remember I got top 3 at a French tournament. I got top 3 at a French tournament. Oh, Karen, sorry, mate.
I think Cabal was the most beatable character of any top tier they've ever made in NRS history. It was Cabal, because again, it was a game in which.
What are you smoking?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree.
I don't know if I agree.
I would disagree. I don't
Zero maybe.
And I really think that the difference, just in crowd hype, between Mortal Kombat 9 and I'm not defending the game. The game was terrible for all intents and purposes. For anyone that thinks Tom is, I'm telling you right now, it's 1,000 times inferior to Injustice 2, except in one area: the crowd.
How many crowds? Cabal is the only character.
What I mean is, it doesn't make sense. You want to keep watching it. right?
Like, the back 1-2-1 move.
It didn't make sense. It's like, take myself. I was probably the worst of all the top placers in MK9 by far, by a mile. Sonic is so much better than me, right? MK9 didn't make sense. Kerbo, for example. And MK9, you had a lot of this. The better player with the better character loses to the worst player with the worst character. And that's pretty uncommon today. But it was extremely common back then. And it made people more watchable. You watch somebody versus some of these top guys now, the matches are less interesting because you're like, oh, Sonic will beat that dude free. Who gives a fuck? Beat him free. Oh, the matchup, man, the matchup is like 8-2 free. MK9, you watch an 8-2 matchup and you're like, maybe this guy can do it. Maybe.
Wait, what?
I don't know about that.
I
don't know, man.
Yeah.
Huh? The matchups in MK9 were fucking awful.
If I watch Jade versus Cabal, I'm like,
okay,
you're also a Jade player.
There are honestly, Jade, Kano.
Wait, there's some aspects though that made it a little bit easier to win an MK9.
Kano
Like
was
for example,
an NPC character, man. He didn't exist.
no, but there were some aspects. Like for example, let's say you were playing like it didn't matter what low tier character you were playing MK9. If someone was jumping at you, you could anti them. If someone was whiffing like an idiot, you could whiff punish them. Like it was a little bit easier to do things like that, which I kind of give Tom.
There are certain low tier.
But like in like MKX and stuff, like some characters they jump at you like Melina. You even if you know it's coming, you just have to hold that shit.
Too? I don't know why they do. Why
Yeah, like that. Like for example, if you were playing Shiva in MK9, you were getting anti-aired. Even Kano could up wall. Literally, any of the low tiers could anti you in full combo if you were playing like an idiot.
Who lost to King Hippo, who's on every podcast. You guys don't know what he's really famous for. He is famous for playing Kenshi, saying he's really good with him, and losing to Shiva terribly. That's what he's really famous for us.
But how good was he though? Because you can use the top tier and just be ass.
I mean,
King Hippo was never good. Like I don't know who you're talking about. He was famous for.
I mean, the whole fact of the matter is, it was still possible. Someone like myself.
No, but MK9 had terrible ass matchups. It wasn't for the reasons like people just jumping in on you or you know.
But they
couldn't do shit. It was like because if you played somebody good, you just couldn't do shit. It wasn't for them just jumping at you or doing like easy shit.
Give you an example. Katana versus Sub-Zero was a terrible match. It was.
That was like 8-2.
It was complete garbage. It was complete garbage, right? So, but when I'm playing versus like someone like 16-bit, right? I can, as bad as it was, I put in a lot of work into it. And even though I lost, I made it a close set, 2-1 last round of last match. And I can accept that loss because I don't feel like I lost because of character matchup stuff. I feel like I lost just because I got outplayed.
How many times could you get that though? Like how many times will it be 2-2 last? Like what if it's like absolute blowout next time? Like it's, I mean 8-2, that's fucking awful. Like that's
it's that bad. But the fact of the matter is, the reason why I lost wasn't because of the matchup. Because at the end of the day, as limited as I was, and Rio, you've seen me play that match, I could fight it so it limits the other character as well. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because in those games,
well, she's just running back throwing fans all day. You can't do shit, but she can't do shit either. Like she can't just jump at you or you don't do some like dumb shit.
The difference is, I think, in those days, the character's tools were more well-rounded, whereas I feel like today, I feel like character tools are designed to be more one-dimensional. And I think that's a problem. A character's tool is not meant to be more well-rounded, which allows a character to be, even though he loses badly, you cannot eliminate who they are from the game. So you still have to deal with those tools. You can make it harder for them to make you deal with those tools, but those tools are still there. Let me give you an example. If Katana could throw my fan in MK9 and break it, she would beat me 100-0. I would have no chance, correct? 100-0, no chance. There would be nothing. Just by taking one move, wasn't even that powerful in that game, like overpowered like that, because he didn't have any 50-50s.
Is NinjaKiller seriously bodying Sonic Fox with Duelist? What the fuck?
Yeah.
But I mean, just in general, like Cabal, even it's like.
So people were saying, I don't know if this is true or not, but just like some lore in the video, people were saying, I don't know if NinjaKiller told somebody this or that he switched to Duelist to make it a little bit more fair.
Yeah.
What up?
So no, I'm not even joking. But even if you look with his Duelist, it literally looks like he's playing Dragonfire, so it doesn't even make a difference.
He never quit. Like. This is his like not his life obviously, but this is his game. Like
I didn't even know he played Duelist.
I mean,
his Duelist looks just as good as his Dragonfire, to be honest.
He played so much that he got tired of like just
fuck. What is this? What is this? What the fuck is he doing?
This is apparently a super shitty bottom 5 variation.
This is as the last thing I'm gonna say because I mean it's 3:00. I know Rio has to go and I have to leave. I think this is a prime. I think this is a prime example of what we've been watching the same set over and over. Is a prime example of why we need to let games live for longer than 2 years because you never know what you're going to be able to find. But I just want to say,
possible that variation is better, Big D, than we gave it credit for.
The thing is, like, I understand that, but look, like, I mean, like again, I don't mean to sound bad, but like, if there's no money, like who's really gonna like up and like, yo, let's travel for MKX because of old time hype?
It depends on the person that you're asking because for me, I use vacations. I use tournaments as more of a vacation. I have been for years. You know, I just happen to be good at games, but my main point is to be able to see people that I've seen, you know, since 2012 or whatever. But I mean, there are a lot of people out there that do it for the money. And that's another thing. It's okay. It's okay to just do it for the money because that's just what people are fixated on. Do I think that
when you're sponsored,
that's what I was going to say. Like, it kind of depends on, you know, what your situation is. Are you sponsored? Do you need to be like doing as best as you can and like making sure you keep that sponsor? Like, is that a prime concern of yours? If it is, then yeah, only go to the majors with money and go with the characters that you think will be able to do well in tournament. But that's really pretty much all I have. I'm now 40 minutes late, but that's cool. I honestly, I think this has been my favorite podcast so far.
Yeah, this has actually been a very enjoyable podcast.
I don't
know if it's because we're talking about MKX, but it was a really fun podcast.
I think our discussions as we keep doing these podcasts are getting more in depth, and I like that. I do want to say thank you to SylverRye and Brady and Ketchup for being our guests. I think it was really cool.
No problem, bro.
I don't have anything else. I don't know if you
before you go, yes or no?
Else.
Is it possible that MKX has evolved, like Liu Kang, NinjaKiller has evolved with the extra time, whereas other people left? Is it possible that he has had more time to invest, so he's actually evolved the game in his character's aspect farther than a lot of us did back then with having more time?
I wouldn't say he's evolved the game. I think he just evolved Liu Kang, innit?
Or improved upon it, should I say?
Yeah. When I used to play him, he wasn't doing all this. Because we ran a mirror before. A lot of these combos and stuff, he wasn't doing them. Like, he discovered.
Let me rephrase it. I didn't phrase it right. What I mean to say is, like you mentioned, Rye, money. A lot of people are just gonna look at whatever with money. Is it possible that there are things in that game, like a Duelist, that were so much better than we even realized, but because of the money that was on the line, people said, "Why am I going to waste my time investing in this?" That when you remove the money, and he could be totally free and had no consequence for losing. He could just lose as much as he wanted to improve whatever he wanted to improve upon. That we got to see improvements in things that we thought were worthless.
I mean, that's a possibility. I don't believe it. Because like Forever Elite,
that's the nature of causality, dude.
Duelist main, like, he found everything with Duelist, and he could, like, he was struggling.
I do think that one of the big things in MKX, which we absolutely cannot forget, is the nature of Liu Kang. Right, Liu Kang, of all the characters in the game, we saw elements of this actually by the end of MKX's prime with Mirko. He's an Italian Hellfire player who was playing in a lot of our community cups.
Yeah.
He was doing a lot of run cancel stuff with Hellfire Scorpion that was just fucking out of this world that no one had seen before, because Mirko had been playing Hellfire the entire time. And even though there was not as much, Hellfire players out there constantly doing stuff, you couldn't really see it. Players were starting to evolve. I do think that run cancel characters in particular, they have more of a natural ability to progress longer the more a game goes on, because of how much creativity run cancels give you. NinjaKiller, a big part of this is the fact that he's been playing Liu Kang this entire time. And it is like Dragon's Fire Out. He just tried to do an entire combo with those internet fireballs, which would have been some crazy run cancel shit. Like, we can't forget the fact that it is 100% the nature of a run cancel character that allows this crazy transition to take place.
Yep.
You would not have seen the same level of climb with someone who has a more traditional moveset. It's just that you have so much creativity. Like, of course, this shit was going to evolve.
Your offense is limited almost. I think run cancels are like
unlimited
they're
offense.
ridiculous in
I
MKX.
think run cancels.
Like think of Liu Kang. You can literally go down his list and be plus off any string at any time almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Technically.
I think run
And then you
cancels-
factor in EX cancels and all this. It's so much to look out for. It's just overwhelming.
And that's
I think
actually
run cancels
really-
are cool, but I think that they're like a bad idea, like to put in like this type of run.
They need to be heavily regulated, and they need to be
Yeah.
watched
Dude, I was
closely.
canceling all forward
I
four
agree.
first hit with Liu Kang. That shit's like -8. No one ever
Yeah.
punished because you're scared to press it. Like I just saw NinjaKiller do forward 2 5 times on Sonic Fox. It's
Hey man,
-5.
it was K-Top
Yeah.
Thunder God Raiden. There were two things that we saw in the community cup back in the day. It was K-Top's Thunder God, and it was Mirko's Hellfire, both of which were fucking ridiculous because it was it was entirely because of the run cancels. The run cancels enabled that. But I do want to say that
It's even when
I've got to jump
I'm sorry.
off. No, that's all right, man. Thanks for having me anyway. I've got to jump off because it's actually getting late here, so I've got stuff to do. But for sure, like I would love to still see the one ending note I want to say is people like NinjaKiller. Watching him play now, like, look, there's no denying he's the real deal. I know there are players out there that have been playing MK the whole time that try and like, poach players. They try and poach players that, almost catch them off guard, record them, put them on YouTube, whatever. NinjaKiller doesn't strike me as one of those. He just strikes me as a player that is genuinely really skilled and has just been getting better the entire time. But on that note, I want to see these players in tournaments. I would love to see how they fare because I'm not doubting them. I'm definitely not saying they'll do worse or bad, but I just find it so crazy how these people are so good. Yet when tournaments happen, there's no interest to go. I just don't understand it. It would be so good to see them. Like NinjaKiller at Combo Breaker, holy shit, it would have been hyped to have this guy there. He would have been the talk of the town. He would have been showing us gameplay offline that maybe we'd never seen before. It would have just been good for everyone, especially him, because he would have been made a superstar from one tournament. Like, come MK11 or whatever might happen before then, I want to see these guys actually take that step because, we need players like that in the scene to give more competition, to give more opportunities to see upsets and different results. Like, no one wants to see the
And
same
that's
players.
what I said. I think it's awesome that I said it already. I said NinjaKiller being able to create a fan base around this and now has a ton of hype around. Like everyone loves watching NinjaKiller. I think that is so cool to see, to now be able to think, it's like, can't wait to see how Tweety and like how SylverRye and like how all these players do. And now NinjaKiller is going to be in the conversation. Man, I can't wait to see what he does in MK11. And I think that's awesome. I think that's part of what we need as a scene to really be able to grow.
Yeah,
is
but they
having
gotta come
situations
out.
like this.
You can't.
You know what? It would be hype as shit if there's an Evo side tournament for this game, and then like people come up to like raise money to send some of these players out there. That would be the hype.
That reminds
shit
me of
ever.
Evo. I want to say actually, let me give you that example. Evo 2012 crowdfunding for Foxy to finally travel. He got, I believe, he got top 16. It was about basically around top 16 with serious concussion, I might add.
Then I want to do one thing to kind of. So in hopes that this will actually work, because Rye does have a good point. You do need to be able to travel offline. So this is my statement. NinjaKiller, if you have been listening or if you're listening to this on YouTube, travel. Give it a shot. See how you like it and go from there. Because a lot of us, that's how we started, and now that's what we're doing now. So you already know that you have the promise. You've been listening. Half of this podcast has been praising you. Like the past 3 hours almost has been about praising you. So my message directly to NinjaKiller is to say, come MK11 or whatever game is next, train, give it a shot, and just see what happens. And that's the last
Dude, Dave's gonna hate listening to these extra 3 hours.
Right. The thing is that like you got to go through the fire. It doesn't matter how good you are in sets. This is not throwing any type of shade because I think I've always said his execution was the best out of every single Liu Kang player. But like that,
It's like a fucking bot.
Yeah, you got to get offline and prove that though. We all had to. Like you can't bypass that just because.
Hey, the 3-frame difference might make a big difference.
You have to.
Is it really 3 frames?
Rewind had to do it. I had to do
Online
it.
Online natively has 3 frames of lag because of the rollback.
Ah.
So that's the general thing. But yeah, basically, guys, I've got to jump off. I've got to head off. But thanks for having me for a short time. If you ever want me to
coming by,
have a chat.
Yeah, anytime, man. Thank you so much, Ketchup, for coming by.
Yeah, man,
Thank
it's all
you,
good.
Ryan. Thank you.